nobody wants and should ever try to escape that reality, and we can't deny that there was abuse, and we should not tolerate abuse, whether it's black or white, because we can also now look in the past where there have been examples where black leadership hasn't treated us as they should. So we now want to look at the future. And one of the things I really like about the Royals and what they do, if you notice in any tour, there's always an emphasis on the children. And if you look at them to ascend to the throne, and whether they're going to get there or not, 6 down, but there is a preparation of discipline, of sports, of serving in the army, of being philanthropists, of serving charities, all of these things. That is who we are. That was the culture that we came up with. My mother served in the Elizabeth Estates Home for 25 years. That is what she saw her mother do, serving community. And same thing with my father, my brothers. So these are the priceless, immutable values that we have to do to rebuild community, to strengthen those aspects which is our heritage, and continue to not tolerate any sort of abuse from wherever quarters it comes from.
Do you think our loss of sense of community and duty and the things that you spoke of and our moving away from those things, do you think these are contributing to the issues that we see, the societal problems, the breakdown in home and family, the disenfranchisement of our people, the angry responses that we give to each other, even right down to traffic? We can't seem to even drive next to each other without hostility and disrespect. Moving away from those things, do you think those have contributed to the issues that we face today as a people?
Absolutely. You know, my grandmother was white from Long Island, Lillian Bartlett, Burroughs Bartlett from Long Island. She was divorced from my grandfather, Robert I. Bartlett, who was a tremendous tailor. But when we when she lived through Royal Avenue in this yellow clapboard house, you could eat off the ground. The outside toilet was clean. ASP Hannah, who used to be on the police force, was the neighbor across the street. They would be delighted. It was normal to share food with the neighbors of the favorite dishes. There was a tuck shop at the corner. It was a joy for the entire neighborhood to get your, what you call the popsicle in the cup. You remember cup? You go get your cup. You remember the cream tarts and stuff like that? My grandmother made. Yeah, we talking. But you know, these are the things, communities that brought a community together where we loved our neighbor as ourselves, where we could not address an adult by their first name. Debbie. Oh, child 5, 6 years, how you get me? You ain't no company. Debbie. When we went to and saw an adult that we didn't know, good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Good afternoon. Yes, sir. That was instilled by your parents. Parent comes from the word that means that the dignity between the adult and the child. We don't see the dignity between the adult and the child as we used to. And so it removes boundaries, and then you see the anger on the streets where if you stay 30 seconds too long, they want to bump your bumper, where you see profanity in front of adults. Now, where we have allowed our value system to be disintegrated to the point where we will shoot somebody in the front of a child or adult, or even shoot women, and these were all taboos in our culture. The foundation of the character of Bahamians is we are great. We are the greatest little nation in the world, and we have to restore and return to our foundation.
Very powerful commentary, but I do want to bring our viewers up to speed on where we are and what's happening. We are awaiting the arrival of the Duke and Duchess to the Sybil Strong Primary School. That's right there on Carmichael Road. Due to inclement weather, I anticipate that could be why the event is being delayed at this point. We were supposed to be starting that event in just 1 minute, but it appears that is delayed. So we're going to wait to see what time that starts. I can see from my vantage point that they have not arrived yet. People are still assembling, but of course it is raining as our Berthany McDermott would have told us. So at some point, we're going to try and just sort of show you what is happening there, and looking at where we're going to be. So obviously, today's events have already started out a little behind schedule. Earlier on, we spoke very briefly to the comments made by the Prince to our Prime Minister about the position that we have taken on climate change. And I think he would have applauded him for that. And it certainly tells us that the Prime Minister and his government, in many respects, are on the right track when it comes to the global issues.
Absolutely, and I think every Bahamian should really be proud of what the impact that the Prime Minister made at COP26. And he really laid it on the table because, you know, the Bahamas has the cleanest environment in the entire world. So we are a leader in a number of ways. And he also pressed to talk about the fact that if the world doesn't respond through action versus talking, it's time out for talking. The people in the Bahamas can be refugees. We can become the victims of the sea levels rising, etc., and also the victims of hurricanes. The point I'm making here, Jerome, is when the royals come, our leaders, that whether that is in politics, whether that's in the public service, demonstrate that the finest qualities of leadership is right here in the Bahamas. If we think about when the coverage that I served as one of the anchors when Queen Elizabeth came in 1985, that was when the father of our nation, the late Sir Lyndon Pinling, stood up for the world and to the world and called on the world to impose sanctions to South Africa. So this great little country has been a voice to the global community to correct the wrongs that we make. And so now it is now the third generation where the Duke and Duchess is here. And preceding that, the Prime Minister had that opportunity to interact because the Queen gave a video message, but you had Prince Philip there, you had the Duke and Duchess there, while the Prime Minister made his presentation and appealed to the world to let's do something and let's make that connection. He talked about the need for us to get rid of the carbon emissions that most countries are guilty of. And really, the country has backed it up by providing electric cars for the transportation of the royals. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was an interesting...
very good point. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. But I do want to just sort of take our viewers to the screen just for a moment. We can give you a shot there outside of the Sybil Strawn Primary School where you can see the inclement weather. You see the skies there in and around the, I guess that's the southwestern part of the island. You see, of course, the demonstrations continuing on the outside. Just giving you a view of what's happening. We have not gotten any official word, but it does appear that the entourage is delayed. But you see there on the outside the protests continuing with now ladies of the Rastafarian movement who are out there, and I presume will still be there when the Duke and Duchess arrive. Of course, there is an entire program planned at the school. We'll be carrying that once that happens. Of course, these school visits are, as you would have heard previously, an integral part of royal visits. So, of course, we are still awaiting that. But just a bit of historical context. I'm a history guy, and so I like to talk about historical things. In 1985, which was the year that you were just referring to during the Queen's visit, that was the year the Bahamas hosted CHOGM. And sometimes I think we forget some of the wonderful historical things that we would have done as a country. You could imagine what it was like hosting the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. The Queen, of course, would have spent 8 days here during that period in 1985. It was the longest visit she'd ever paid to the Bahamas. But during her visit, You had then the late Prime Minister of Great Britain, Margaret Thatcher. You had, I think, Rajiv Gandhi out of India. You had some of the greatest leaders of the world at that time. And as you mentioned, it was then that the Nassau Accord was signed, led in no small measure by the late Prime Minister Sir Lyndon Pindling. But that was a condemnation of apartheid in South Africa at the time and really called for sanctions. Eventually, that move led ultimately to the abolition of apartheid in South Africa and the eventual freeing of President Nelson Mandela, who, not long after being released from prison, came to visit the Bahamas and to thank the Bahamian people for starting that movement. So we have to remember and we have to revisit our history so that we can have pride in who we are and where we have come from and how we have impacted the world. And so when I sit in these positions and I'm able to speak to history, I do it because it's important to remind our people of the pride that we should have, that we don't always have, because we look and are focused on today and the now and the issues that we face. But let us be reminded that we led the world in a movement to end a great travesty in South Africa that started in the Bahamas.
And you know, it's amazing that you should say that, because we're talking about succession planning, we're talking about continuity in history, and Sir Lyndon raised the cry and called on the world to impose sanctions against South Africa and the apartheid system. And when President Mandela visited the Bahamas for the first time, the Honorable Hubert Ingram was the Prime Minister. And I can tell you, President Mandela initially did not want to be interviewed. And at the time, I was assigned to Prime Minister Ingram as the top reporter from Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas. And I called Prime Minister Ingram and I said, sir, you think President Mandela can come here and not allow the journalists to be interviewed? And he did that. But the point is, again, outstanding leadership from Prime Minister Ingram, and they became friends, and he returned another time, and I got the opportunity at that time to not only be a part of the news conference that the Prime Minister facilitated when he came into the airport, but I believe I know that I'm the only journalist that was granted a sit-down interview with President Mandela, and one of the first in the Western Hemisphere. But you know what was very striking about that interview? His emphasis, his priority was education. And so you see the continuity with great leaders. Education is a priority.
All right. We are going to check in at Sybil Strawn in just a few minutes with Berthany McDermott to see where we are. But as we were talking about the 1985 visit and what that eventually led to, I just wanted to revisit a few things from that visit. It was an 8-day visit by Queen Elizabeth II. I remember being in high school at the time and remembering all the fervor about it. But during that visit, she opened the Elizabeth Estates subdivision, which still exists today. She officially opened that. She also visited the straw market. There was the old straw market, which eventually burned down some years later. She laid a wreath at the Nassau War Cemetery. There was a walkabout at the entrance of the Prince George Dock. From there to her Royal Yacht Britannia. There was also a float parade and a youth rally at Clifford Park. During that visit, she would have also given the opening address at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. The highlight of her trip, though, and this is very important, was a trip to Andros. She visited the island of Andros and Autek and Fresh Creek. This was the first time that the Queen had visited a family island. It was also that during this time that she officially opened a facility there named in her honor. And so, you know, you see now her grandson, many years later, preparing to visit 2 islands on this trip. Grand Bahama tomorrow, well, first to Abaco tomorrow, and later on in the day to Grand Bahama, the Queen herself visiting Grand Bahama in 1994 during that visit. But again, just a bit of context so people understand, for those of you who are experiencing a royal visit for the first time, that these visits aren't just a show-up. But they are designed to do certain things. The royals visit these areas. They get an understanding of what it is that we are doing in country, visit some facilities, and get an understanding of our culture and our people and what we do. And I really have to say, without personally knowing it, I know that in many instances, the Queen always had a special affection for the Bahamas. We had heard at one point that she referred to us as the jewel of the Caribbean. I can't confirm any of that. That's a little speculation. But that's what I understand.
But love is known by the action it prompts. And when we had Dorian, and notice where the royals are visiting, who was there first in terms of the...
Oh, yes. The British Royal Navy provided one of the first sets of relief to Abaco following Hurricane Dorian. And just as a reminder, during hurricane season, British Royal Navy keeps at least one ship out in this area to be able to respond to islands that are hit by a hurricane. And we sometimes, I think, forget that we rely on our international partners, our neighbors, our friends. We forget that we rely on these countries in times of need.
Absolutely, both British and the United States.
And others.
And others, because guess what? We don't have the resources to monitor 700 islands. And notice again, consistent with the philosophy and certainly the wisdom of the governments to choose the islands that have been devastated by hurricanes. Oh my God, Freeport, Grand Bahama, they reel in from 4 or 5 hurricanes. Of course, we have Dorian, and the Queen took the time to send a note of sympathy and empathy and expressing her and giving her assurance that she is praying for the Bahamas. Those little things mean a lot.
Yes. We're going to check in now. I think he's ready. Not yet. He is getting ready. We're going to check in with our Bethany McDermott in just a minute. We are officially behind schedule. This event was scheduled to start at 9:50, but we are now 2 minutes after 10, and it is still not started at this time. Another bit of historical information from a previous royal visit. In 1975, when the Queen was here on her first trip to an independent Bahamas, a replica of an Arawak duo was carved by George Moscow. The Queen was accompanied by then Prime Minister, the Honorable Sir Lyndon Pinling, and Lady Pinling, along with the late Governor General Sir Milo Butler and Lady Butler, into Rawson Square. So, and then there was also during that trip, following that, a press reception on board the royal yacht. And today, her grandson will be going to Rawson Square for the first time. His grandmother paid a first visit to an independent Bahamas, to that square, back in 1975. Also during that same trip, the Queen officially opened the then $2.2 million Central Bank of the Bahamas. So the Queen officially opened the Central Bank back in 1975, and she was also presented with a navy blue matching straw hat and handbag done by Miss Diana Thompson, who was then president of the Straw Vendors Association.
I remember Miss Diana Thompson. She was just such a tremendous personality. And when we talk about Rawson Square, which will be the stop after the Civil Strawn, we can again reflect on how strong our leaders and the Bahamas has been over the years to maintain the stability and to secure that place in our global community as the 3rd strongest economy in the Western Hemisphere, with a vibrant democracy for over 200 years. So I think that there is, a lot that we can be proud of and thankful for. Proud of, on one hand, the leadership that the people of the Bahamas have elected over the years, that's been able to preserve and protect us. We're looking for even more growth.
I'm going to have to jump in now. We're going to take you back to the Sybil Strawn Primary School. Bethany McDermott is standing by there to bring us some insight into what's happening. BJ, we are behind schedule. We are depending on you now to update us on what's happening.
That's right, Jerome. We are a bit behind schedule, but from what we can see from, I guess, where we are standing, it seems that people are making the final preparations for their arrival. We understand that the main Carmichael Road has already been blocked off to traffic, and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, as well as the Rangers, are in place behind me, ready for the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. But I'm standing here now with the area's MP, Ms. Pia Glover-Roll. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a bit about, I guess, what this means, or what you would think this would mean for the students here in your constituency.
Thank you for having me, Berthany. This is an historic event, simply. These students at the Sybil Strand Primary, apart from having a brand new model school that they came back to after a long break from being face to face, now have a royal visit. And this is something that they will remember until they are old. And it's important to understand the history. You know, this is a teachable moment for the children, because as they prepared for this visit, of course, they were given the history of who the royals are, where we stand as a part of the monarchy and being a Commonwealth nation. So in talking to a lot of the students in the past few weeks, they're happy to be a part of history.
Speak a bit, I guess, to the preparation that would have gone into this here visit this morning.
So this school, like I just mentioned, is a model school. This school was renovated in record time for the reopening of school, and this is, at the moment, and I'm happy to say as the representative for this constituency, the best school on the island. So the preparations was, of course, some final touches that were made, a little more paving, ensuring that all of the facilities are up and functional and all of the furniture is in place to be ready to host the Duke and Duchess this morning.
Thank you so much for joining you. And again, Jerome, we're all just standing here waiting for their arrival. The students are already seated, as well as other cabinet ministers. And again, they're expected to arrive any minute. When that happens, we'll be able to bring you, I guess, the footage of their arrival. Back to you in studio, Jerome.
Thank you very much, Berthany. Could you please tell Pia Glover-Roll I said hello? Thank you. Pia and I go way back. I hope you can tell her what I said. She's looking lovely this morning, as always.
Yes, this morning, as always. She said, tell Debbie, aye.
Thank you, BJ. We appreciate that. Debbie Bartlett, you know, when you look now, even in government and the continuity and what is happening, you know, our representatives like Pia Glover-Roll would have come up in an independent Bahamas being school children during the visits of Queen Elizabeth, even Prince Philip from time to time, and other royals. Here now are, you know, third generation, in some instances fourth generation Bahamians, people who have grown up and only known an independent Bahamas are now in positions of leadership.
You know, that's a very interesting and powerful observation that you've made. But the environment equips and prepares it for it. Sometimes we take each other for granted. I'm looking at how we've prepared to receive the royals. It's like, hey, this is just natural to us. You know, the leadership in us just shows up. You know, there is the debate among some of why we would prepare for such a thing. But listen, look at what we were recording. When we started the Broadcasting Corporation, it was only us. Now we have...
Be here.
That's right. You're here.
We have Eyewitness News.
You have Eyewitness
JCR,
News
that's right.
doing a phenomenal job. And Beyond the Headlines doing a phenomenal job with live coverage, capturing history from different perspectives and showcasing the strengths of our leaders, but it's also stimulating the economy. When we look at the owner of, I think his name is Mr. Farmer, who's providing that electric car. Can you imagine the business? I won't get one myself.
Right, listen, when I saw that pull up yesterday, if I didn't sell O for mine. No, but you know, you are so right. I mean, look at where we have come as a country, and I think this is an opportunity as you said, you know, as we reflect, we have to look at the accomplishments that we, you know, that we would have made. And you would have mentioned in the Broadcasting Corporation where we got our start. In 1977, during Queen Elizabeth's visit, she, along with the late Prince Philip, visited the Bahamas for 2 days en route to Barbados. At the time, she was celebrating her Silver Jubilee. She opened the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas. officially opened ZNS.
Absolutely. So, and you know what?
And we signed on in full color.
In full color.
People take that for granted.
Yes,
but
yes.
We signed on. That was a big thing.
That was a very big deal. I was in college at that time. But, you know, I wanted to get back home. I was the first black on CBS WHBF in Rock Island, Illinois. And the mayor wanted to give me a green card. I say, ZNS open, boy. I want to go back home. I said, Lord, I don't know, but I guess.
So I know some days she's going to call that mayor back.
Give me that green, no.
I just don't do. So also we're about 10 minutes out from the arrival of the Duke and Duchess at the school, so we'll be going there in just a few minutes. But again, putting things into context. So during 1977, during her Silver Jubilee, now here we are, it's a Platinum Jubilee, but during her Silver Jubilee, the Queen visited here, opened the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas. At the time, it was a beacon for broadcasting in the Caribbean. It was really state-of-the-art, and it really transformed the country, because up to this point, we were reliant on radio and whatever you could catch from your antenna. You know, young people don't know nothing but no antenna. You had an antenna on the.
Try to get rid of that snow.
If the weather was bad, you couldn't watch nothing.
That's it.
But you had, you know, someone outside adjusting antenna until you get channel 10 or whatever, channel 7. But ZNS, the Broadcasting Corporation, came and changed our culture.
Absolutely.
It brought television into the homes of Bahamians and paved the way for us to be here today. And that was done during a visit of Her Majesty.
And you know what was the residual for that? The late Kelsey Johnson. Oh, I love him. I miss him. But you know, we would mock him a little bit in terms of how we would talk. Hello, everyone. But you know something? He was a master in protocol. And the residual from that royal visit, I came in 1979 and started the Broadcasting Corporation. And these are the things that's simple but is missing. When the Prime Minister or any government official, including the leader of the opposition, would arrive, you had to spring clean just how we paving the road. You remember that? Hey, Rackley, you put enough Lysol in the boardroom? Everything had to smell clean. There was this sense that royalty was coming in our own local. And the other thing is, there was no question who was number one, who was number two in covering the Prime Minister or the leader of the opposition. And the best was required to put forth, which prepared the best to cover the royals, because we understood the protocol. So in our history in the foundation, we honored authority. We respected authority, whether you agree with them or not. The best had to attend as reporter to the leader of the opposition. Now, the Prime Minister got who was considered the best, but the leader of the opposition got who was considered among the best. And junior reporters could not cover. And what does that have to do with anything? But these are the little principles that we are missing now that is causing for the disintegration of community, honor and respect.
You know, you are so correct, and I think sometimes we, because we are in an ever-evolving, changing, growing society, we move away, we forget those things that at one time made us so great. And not that we still aren't great, but we are missing some things, because as you would have, you know, so eloquently put it, you had to prepare. There was not just a show up and stick a microphone in the Prime Minister's face, but, you know, media and journalism around the world is changing and it's evolving, and those days are gone, but there is still a level of respect and protocol for office and authority that we lack, and whether it be respect for our own leaders or leaders of other countries, or even the lack of respect for authority. Because you don't have to like the leader, and you don't have to, you know, particularly like even what they stand for, but you have to respect the office.
See, that's what we're missing now. It's the office, not the officer. So when you respect and honor the office, how you feel about the officer has nothing to do with it. When that officer leaves, another one comes, but the office remains. And I believe that we circumvent that strength when we prematurely advance talent who would otherwise be great and don't understand the value of what experience and processing brings to maintain, strengthen, and grow the culture of excellence in our country.
A part of this visit will be a trip to Grand Bahama, and that is coming tomorrow afternoon. In 1994, Queen Elizabeth, the grandmother of the Duke of Cambridge, would have visited Grand Bahama and had a full day of activities there. And that was a very significant trip in many ways because there was a youth rally that was held there. There was also I'm just pulling up my notes here just so that I'm correct. There was the opening of the Northern Region Supreme Court building at the Garnet Lavarity Center. And something very, very significant happened as a result of that. The administration of justice in Grand Bahama and for the Northern Region now, for the first time, was in a place where it was accessible. People could no longer had to come to New Providence for all their legal matters. And this was officially opened by the Queen in 1994. And again, without knowing our history, sometimes we don't understand the significance of the things that have happened in this country that have made us a better country.
You know what? If you focus on the negative, you become negative. And whatever we do and whatever we focus on, we become. And so when we only focus on the negative, we miss the opportunities that is created by whether it is a test, a challenge, or whatever is shifting the environment. Do you know, for example, while most of us were really concerned about pandemic, there were others in 1 year, from January of last year to this year, have created 916 new medications from, they took the testing for decades for cancer to apply it to the inoculation for the pandemic. And out of that, they have cures for cancer, cures for diabetes. What am I saying? They looked at where the opportunity is in the pandemic. We should look more at where the opportunities are. We don't know when this moment will come again in our history where a royal visits, given the age and the ascension to the throne of, like you said off camera, gee, we don't know nobody who had to wait this long to be king.
Listen, that's the longest interview for a job. You know, again, if you wanted, you're looking, the Queen is about to turn 95.
95.
Prince Charles cannot ascend to become king until his mother passes away. And, you know, I think sometimes we miss too the pressures of being in the royal family. You know, literally you waiting, your whole life is waiting on your mother to die in order for you to take a position.
Right.
And that's a lot of pressure.
But let me ask you something, if I may, Jerome. Do you think that Prince Philip would have the same kind of courtesies, honor, and endearment as Queen Elizabeth?
You mean Prince Charles? No.
I mean Prince Charles, yes.
I think the monarchy has changed so significantly. I think we touched on it earlier. The death of Princess Diana changed a lot of things. I think the royal family fell out of favor with a lot of people because of seemingly how she was treated by the royal family. But it also, if you examine, I think from the time period, it was a turning point for the Queen herself, because she recognized that this princess had garnered the love and the support of the world for what she was doing. She was the first royal to hug an AIDS patient.
That's right.
And I remember the fervor that it caused. People almost lost their minds, because how could you hug an AIDS patient? You know, and it was a taboo thing back then. First of all, no member of the royal family touched anyone That was one. And secondly, at that time, the AIDS epidemic was rampant and people were scorned and not touched. She went onto an AIDS ward, she hugged an AIDS patient, she made it a part of her mission to bring HIV/AIDS to the forefront. So she led that. She did things like take William and Harry to McDonald's.
To keep them in touch,
She
to come in
wanted
touch.
them to have the experiences of children. She picked their own clothes, their own shoes. As you mentioned, she took them to school. She made them people. She made them relatable. And even if you remember 10 years ago when Prince Harry came, there was all this outpouring of affection from the Bahamian people because he did not represent the old royal family. He represented a new generation. He wanted to get out and have fun and do what teenagers and young boys did. William, however, is a little bit more of the perfect royal. And his role is different, and people always have to understand that. I say to people, Harry really is not in line to be the throne. Plenty of people have to die in order for him to
He
become
down there at
king.
number 6.
You know, but Prince William has been groomed for this from the day he was born. And I think what he represents, I think, is a combining of sorts of the old and new world. He respects the tradition of the royal family. He understands duty. He understands what his role is, and he conforms to that. Yet I think he possesses a portion of his mother in his approach, his personality. Even the wife that he chose or was chosen for him, in many ways represents a bit of Diana in her style and her grace. I mean, you see, she walked off that plane yesterday in that Tiffany blue dress, and it was almost an awe-inspiring moment. But they are that couple, I think, that represents the new iteration of the royal family. I think Charles's time, given his age, and the other things that have happened with him, the fact that he divorced from Diana, he remarried Camilla, who was not a favorite of many. I think that those things in and of itself have already placed him at a disadvantage. He's not as loved as William, and I don't think not as revered as the Queen is. But his time is going to be short because his mother's 95 and still on the throne, and he is, I can't remember how old, 60-something, maybe 70, I don't know.
I think about 73.
70-something, eh? Yeah. He's old. So his time is not going to be long. So William is going to be king in waiting, very soon. Unfortunately. And so I think once he ascends, I'm talking once Prince William ascends to be king, it's going to have a completely different effect on the royal family. Now, when you look at that, okay, and you look at what he has evolved into and how he has changed, what does that say from where your perspective, what does that say about what the next 40, 50 years are going to look like, not just in the monarchy, but in the world as other leaders of his age and his generation now emerge?
I think you make a very important point that you see the change, the transformation from the influence of their mother Diana, who was called the Queen of Hearts, and she would do everything to touch the common man, and you can feel and sense this genuine spirit that was communicated. I can see in the picture of my mind Diana right now taking the chance to walk in the landmines and to try to get rid of the landmines. We see and know that the Prince Charles seemed to be a little awkward after a while with Princess Diana, but you see even right now that there are comparisons between the Duchess of Cambridge and Diana, and there are opinions that the Duchess of Cambridge would be the same to Prince William as Diana was. So you see that kind of personality. And so through the time, what I have noticed is there is a change in the stoic personality of Prince Williams. If you look at him now, even in Jamaica and Belize, when he played football, he was having a good time. Down to earth, like how Harry was. You know, Harry, he would dance, and with the youth, he interacted. And when you look at Prince Williams, it's like he was engaged
Yes.
with the students in Jamaica and Belize. It was that personality that changed, because I can't forget when both Prince William and Prince Harry walked in that procession with their mother's death. It was, oh my God, I mean, obviously, I mean, I mean that
Crushing,
like, just crushing.
I don't think the world could ever forget those images.
Yes, but I believe if they were to follow some of the cries, even of the Rastas, just apologize, man. There have been some abuses, and they continue with their humanitarian track and take on that persona of their grandmother. There is something that happens with her grace and her presence when she shows up.
Duty.
Duty.
Call it
There's
duty.
that sense of duty to the people. And
All right.
over the, you have to go.
Yeah, we're gonna interrupt for just a moment and go back down to the Sybil Strawn Primary School. Our Bethany McDermott is standing by with an interview for us. Bethany?
Who was one of the instrumental persons in planning this whole event. So I guess tell us a bit about, I guess, how are you feeling now, just minutes away from the Duke and Duchess arrival?
What a wonderful opportunity it is to showcase our beautiful country. We have spent weeks and weeks of planning. We had an amazing local organizing committee who, I mean, night and day, they wanted to ensure that everything was in place. There's just lots of plans, lots of preparations that went into this. And I'm just happy that the day arrived and the Duke and Duchess settled in well, and now they're ready for an awesome day today.
Personally, what are you looking forward to?
Everything. I will not pinpoint one thing, but I can tell you something that's so exciting is the fact that Junkanoo has not been on Bay Street in 2 years. And so our Junkanoos are ready, their spirits are high, the energy is up the roof, and they are just ready to hit Bay Street. So we're praying for this weather to hold up, but if it doesn't, we're going to make some alternate plans, but the show must go on.
What would you say the persons, I guess, who want to come out to maybe Bay Street or maybe along the road here to see the Duke and Duchess as they arrive? What advice would you give to them?
Bring your umbrellas. Bring your umbrellas today. But other than that, let's just come out and show the love and the support to the Duke and Duchess who have graced their presence on our beautiful shores.
All right, thank you so much. For Jerome again, so we're just waiting. The rain is down. We understand they should be about 10 minutes out, but we're going to try to get out of the rain, so we're going to throw it back to you in studio.
Thank you very much. You interviewing all my parliamentary friends this morning. I don't have to tell you to tell Leslie I said hi, and I appreciate her. She looks fantastic as always this morning. And thank you for the great job. Get out of the rain. I know it's rough out there, but get out of the rain. We'll check back in with you. But Debbie, you know, we're in live TV.
Yes.
and this is what
you have
live
to
TV.
just say
You have to. What you always tell us, be ready
yes.
for any eventuality, and you always tell me, be ready to talk.
That's right.
You know, don't come on here and tell me what color the princess shoes.
No.
You know. But you know, again, and now, so of course, this is going to raise some questions about the remainder of the day and what will happen, because obviously we're behind schedule. The downtown event. There's even a sailing event planned in Montague. So if the weather is not good, who knows what will happen there today. I'm going to just try and get my producer's attention. If we can take a shot from the outside of that school at some point, just to give us an idea of what it looks like on the outside. I can see it in here from my vantage point, but if we can get to it on the screen, we have a live cam outside of the Sybil Strawn School. So at some point, I just want to be able to take that shot. And you can see there, it gives you an idea of what the weather is like out there. It is overcast, the rain is down, and there is no telling at this point when that will clear. Of course, there are some logistical nightmares with an event like this. I mean, you can't have, for all intents and purposes, your guests and country come and get washed away in the rain. As you mentioned, they are used to rain, you know, in the UK, but I think for us, it's a little, it produces a different scenario now, because rain is not something I think that we planned for at this event, and even downtown, that's an open event.
You know, there are the health issues and there are the technical issues, because I don't think that we want to deny the people of the Bahamas to be eyewitness, even from TV, even
Yeah.
from our comfort of our homes. And so, but you know, you adjust your sail. What I'm saying is that the royals are used to rain in London, but they understand that there's a need to adjust. And
That's London rain. It's Nassau rain.
there's Nassau, that's true, because London rain, it goes off and on. Eh?
Rain is rain.
Rain is rain, yes,
but
absolutely.
definitely, yeah, but
Yeah.
I think there are some logistical issues that we are going to consider. In the interest of giving us a moment, and of course, to reset for a moment, we're going to take a quick commercial break. The Royals are nowhere in sight at this point, so you won't be missing anything in that break. But it'll give us a moment to stretch our legs in here and to take a sip of water.
Say on the record. See.
Yes, we are on the record paraphernalia is everywhere. So you are watching RTV's live coverage of the royal visit. We are going to take a break right here and be back. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the best coverage on television and online. Stay with us. All right, look here.
Welcome to Cable Bahamas Business Solutions cybersecurity tip of the day for incident response planning. An incident response plan will help you to get your business back up and running quickly if you were to fall victim to a cyber attack. Next are the steps to ensure the execution of an incident response plan. Preparation. Plan in advance how to handle and prevent security incidents. Point number 2, detection and analysis. This includes monitoring potential attack vectors to looking for signs of an incident and prioritization. Point number 3, containment, eradication, and recovery. Develop a containment strategy, identify and mitigate the hosts and systems under attack, and have a recovery plan. And the fourth and final point, post-incident activity. Review lessons learned and have a plan for evidence retention. Remember, stay safe, stay informed, and stay protected.
Avery's has been around from 1992 in an area far away from most things. In 2018, I picked up the mantle. At the answer that I would have taken over, I was connected to Cable Bahamas. And I'm always trying to enhance my Avery's package. And I wanted to expand my customer satisfaction through technology. Everybody comes in and they want to use the Wi-Fi. They want to be able to go live, show off the food and the ambience and the entertainment. So since I've been using the Aero device, my buffering almost went to zero. There's no interruption in that service, which is phenomenal. I would recommend the Aero device to anyone to use it. It works.
During this pandemic, it is our duty to ensure that all citizens, residents, and visitors are adhering to the COVID-19 safety protocols. Every business establishment must have distance markers 6 feet apart, indicating where each customer must stand at check-in points. Have a hand sanitizing station visible at the entrance of the store for all customers to sanitize their hands before entering the store. I am Ambassador Latario Farrington of the COVID-19 Enforcement Unit. Save a life that may be yours.
Here are some answers to some commonly asked questions about our new RevX TV Guide platform. If you have any other questions, please feel free to contact us. What do I do if my cable box is not powered on? Please press the cable key on your remote to power the cable box on. What do I do if a PIN error message appears on my screen? Simply press the number 1 and enter. What do I do if my TV cable box has no guide? Please remove the white cable wire and power cord for 15 seconds. Reconnect and allow the cable box to load. What do I do if the cable box is stuck in rev loading? Please remove the white cable wire and power cord for 15 seconds. Reconnect and allow the cable box to load. What do I do if I am unable to access video on demand? If you are unable to access VOD, a technical support agent will have to escalate this issue for further resolution. What do I do if I'm missing a channel in the TV guide? If you're missing channels in the TV guide, a technical support agent will have to escalate the issue for further resolution. Thank you.
They say curiosity killed the cat. Well, they look pretty alive to us. There are countless curious mysteries waiting to be discovered in the world. No, the universe. Follow your curiosity on RTV with a series of award-winning documentaries from Curiosity Stream, right here on RTV.
My name is Camille Barnett, and I'm president of the Bahamas AIDS Foundation. During these difficult times, we have continued to provide support to our clients through a number of initiatives. We provide weekly grocery support and hot meals. Our clients have access to counseling and a food and clothing bank, as well as assistance with clinic visits and medications. Access to our social worker enables clients to get support with job preparation, securing government documents, and negotiating the everyday trials of life. We are also committed to making sure our young people have academic support through the provision of laptops and school supplies.
My aunt's birthday.
Visit of their Royal Highnesses, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. I'm Jerome Sawyer along with Debbie Bartlett, and this morning we are eagerly awaiting at this hour the arrival of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge to the Sybil Strawn Primary School. On our monitor in studio, I can tell you we can see some activity. We're going to try and take that shot in just a moment. It appears that the entourage is about to arrive at the school. You see here some vehicles pulling up. You can see here the downpour. And of course, we see in the background the arrival of what we think is the vehicle with the Duke and Duchess. Yes, the car is carrying the Royal Standard, which indicates to us that the Royal Highnesses are in that vehicle and arriving well behind schedule at the Sybil Strawn Primary School there on Carmichael Road. In just a few moments, once they exit that vehicle, the official program is going to begin. We will be bringing you that program in earnest as it happens, or whatever version of that takes place. Of course, you know, the Royals are, as my co-host has said, they are accustomed to inclement weather, but we are in the midst of a downpour. So we're going to see how they will be able to maneuver that couple out of the vehicle and into the building, into a temporary, a holding room within the office. Now, I can tell you from my own visit to the school, there is a group that has been selected, teachers from various schools holding various positions, who will be, we see there the Duchess as she exits the vehicle. And she will be going into the office. We see there a full shot of the Duchess wearing as well as the Duke. They have come out of the vehicle. She's wearing an absolutely beautiful dress. A little damp, but nonetheless, they are at the school being greeted by the principal. And there will be a holding room where they will go and have a short discussion with a few teachers. She is the principal of the school, Glendina Mills, and she is the principal there at the school. She has been preparing. We see on the screen now, she is being introduced to the Minister of Education, the Honourable Glenys Hannah Martin, as well as the Parliamentary Secretary within the Ministry of Education, the Honourable Zane Lightbourne. There is a receiving line there at the school. I think that is the Director of Education who is in that line as well. And so following this receiving line, I do understand there will be a short discussion with a few teachers there. Some students are going to be on that receiving line as well. I think it's the head boy, possibly, and the head girl of that primary school. Debbie Bartlett, can you imagine the excitement now of the children who are getting ready to, and I keep going back to the interview with the principal, a real live prince.
I enjoyed that enthusiasm. And she said something is really key. It's all about the knowledge, and it generates, enthusiasm generates and fuels hope. Hope for a better future. Exposure to what we can be in terms of preparing to, can you imagine that young girl say, the prince is going to be looking at me.
At me.
That kind of self-esteem that it builds. And this is what I was saying earlier, Jerome. You know the time it takes to prepare? Prepare means to make ready. Making ready to have an excellent presentation that develops your skills and helps change your mindset of what we have to do to be great. You got to prepare for it, to receive the royals, but understanding that we have that royal heritage as well, and we have to be the best me that we can be.
And you know, any school child who has ever participated in an event like this will always remember this day. You see the prince there spending quite a bit of time speaking with who I think is the head boy of the primary school there, who would have appeared in that piece that we ran earlier. But spending quite a bit of time now being joined by the princess, by the Duchess, pardon me, who, of course, is spending time talking. And it's not just to shake hand and move on, but these visits are all about meeting and talking and learning even about, the Commonwealth countries. And he's here representing the Queen, his grandmother.
And you see how engaged they are.
Yes.
And it feels genuine, like they're genuinely interested. And I hope the photographers are there to capture these moments. And I hope those students are like you, because you could go back in your archives from the big time you began with some of the historical moments in your life as a journalist. I wish I had followed your example in that regard.
My family probably wants to throw me out sometimes with the things that I keep. But you're quite right. You get the feeling that it is a genuine interaction. The amount of time that they are spending talking to these students. And I hope our team is able to get an interview afterwards just to find out what that conversation was about. But look now, the school children who are representing all of the primary schools in the country, it is a mix of students who are here to witness this event. So it's not just the students at Sybil Strawn, but it is a cross-section of primary school students, the head girl of the school as well. They are greeting the Duchess, and she receives a small bouquet of flowers. But you know, the excitement that must be building with these children.
I can't wait for you to interview Miss Mills again, because I know her heart is jumping. She really interacted and is interacting with the real princess, she says.
Now, I said we weren't going to talk about it, but the Duchess looks absolutely beautiful in her dress.
Yes, and very tropical.
And that's undeniable.
Yes.
You know, she certainly has a great sense of style, and she compliments him.
Yes, yes.
And it is, yes, as my producer's telling me in my ear, the color of the dress is representative of the islands, the vibrant colors and the vibrant people that we represent. And you see here, you know,
and it blends in. Look
very nicely with the school.
With the environment, the school and the trees. Oh my God.
And you know, here they are now about to ascend, I think, to the stage. You can only imagine. We're going to now allow you to hear what's happening there. I want to hear, see if we can get some sound. Yeah, so we do have a feed coming in from the Ministry of Education as well. And so we're going to, in just a few moments, take that full feed from there so you're able to hear what is happening at the school. But you see, the Duke and Duchess have taken their seats amongst the children. I love that. And not on the stage, but amongst that. And taking a moment to turn around and to speak. That young lady must be so very thrilled at this moment. That's an unexpected moment.
And listen, she is not bashful. She is engaging the Duchess in conversation.
Of course, you see there the Minister of Education, the Honourable Dennis Anna Martin, about to take her place next to the Duke and Duchess, as well as we are about to formally begin the short program here this morning. I think it's probably maybe less than 10 minutes, the entire program, but there's going to be a national anthem, an official welcome, and some remarks. And so in just a few moments, we're going to take you there fully. And this is a long conversation, Debbie. This young lady, she's engaging all of the kids behind her. It tells you
You think she's saying, that's my friend right over there.
As is the nature with children, you know, as I said, this is the day that they won't soon forget. Just to be here to witness something like this, it is extraordinary. It is extraordinary. Of course, these children have been waiting patiently all morning for this to happen. And, you know, we don't want to, for one moment, discount the potential risk that still exists, even though our COVID numbers are all the way down, and we're doing very well. There is still, you know, there's still some protocols that must be adhered to. So you see all the children wearing masks, etc. So we are going to, in just a few moments, turn it over to the podium and take this event as it unfolds at the Sybil Strawn Primary School.
And this choir, led by Rashad Cunningham, we now turn it over to our moderator. I see the Duchess now has on her face mask. Yes. There we see to her right the Minister of State for Education and Technical and Vocational Training, the Honorable Zane Lightburn. And the head boy is sitting to the left.
You realize how engaged he is with the Duke? Mm-hmm. So we have, is that the combined primary school choir? Yes, the choir that consists of students from across New Providence, public schools across New Providence, singing I Am a Promise, opening our program today. And that message is so true. I am a promise to be. The stage is filled with promises, Vaughn. Filled with promises.
For a better Bahamas. For our children who will soon become adults in a matter of years.
And they're prince and princesses in their own rights. And this is what we need to get them to understand. We need to ingrain this mentality in them.
And they can be anything they want
Anything
to be.
they want to be.
And these are the songs that primary school children sing.
Yeah, these are typical songs that they would use, sing during the morning devotions, morning class assemblies. And so the Duke and Duchess is getting a taste of...
So school assemblies are a thing of the past?
Not to my knowledge, they're not a thing of the past. Even virtually, I'm sure they were done. There's always, that's one thing I love about my country. We know to put God first. So in the classroom, before the day begins, there's a prayer, one or two songs to praise God, and then the day officially begins.
Adama Williams, my co-host, she's been a teacher for a number of years.
12 years to be exact.
Yes. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
The program is about to officially begin.
This combined choir, led by Rashad Cunningham, who is now at the virtual school but taught for a number of years at the E.P. Roberts Primary School. There you have the combined choir led by Rashad Cunningham singing the national anthem of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
We thank you for your mercies that are new every morning.
We thank you for each adult and child that you have allowed to gather today to commemorate the Platinum Jubilee of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. We thank you for the legacy of our monarch.
We ask that you bless the Queen, the Duke, and Duchess of Cambridge, and all the royal family. In your mercy, Lord, preserve the life of Queen Elizabeth. Guard her and protect her.
May you continue to bless her with a spirit of wisdom and understanding. We pray for the Commonwealth of Nations and for our blessed Bahamaland, that we may enjoy peace and security.
We pray for the welfare of each nation until the coming of your kingdom, with power and glory forever and ever. Amen.
So we appear to be having some audio difficulties coming from there. We are taking a feed from there. We're just going to take just the video for now until we can get the audio back up. We do appear to be having some challenges from the feed that we are receiving down there. So we're going to, if we can just bring that video feed back up until we get the audio sorted out. As I said, we are taking this from a pool. And if you understand how a pool works, we are in the broadcasting business, so we can't all be there at the same time in the same spot. So we're taking this from a single feed, and there are some challenges with the audio. So hopefully we'll get that back up in just a moment. But Debbie Bartlett, so far so good. I mean, the kids, we heard the national anthem. We heard that I call it the all famous school song. I Am a Promise as well. I think we're able to now get the audio.
To be your moderator for this celebration. I invite you to view the screen as students from 6 of our picturesque islands welcome you.
To the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, to the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, as they represent Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, we, the students of Bartlett Hill Primary School, welcome you to the warm, majestic shores of our Bahamaland. We welcome you to the warm, majestic shores of our Bahamaland. Welcome from the bountiful, pleasant bay, goldfish lord in Andros. Welcome from the pictures glass window bridge in Eleuthera. Welcome from the heights of Mount Alvernia in Cat Island. Welcome from the depths of deep blue hole in Long Island. Welcome from the scenic south points of Great Narrow. From across the length and breadth of our nation, we bid you welcome.
Students, you did an excellent job. Our islands are truly beautiful. And now, you are in for another cultural treat as students from the Government High School Pop Band entertain you with a rendition of Nita Ellis's If the Good Lord. Following them, Master Elliot Ferdinand, head boy of Sybil Strawn Primary School, will introduce the Minister of Education and Technical and Vocational Training.
The Honorable Glennis Hannah Martin, Minister of Education and Technical and Vocational Training, was born on the beautiful island of New Providence to the late Honorable Arthur and Mrs. Beryl Hannah. She received her early education at St. Anne's School and Queen's College here in New Providence. Minister Hannah Martin's academic career is extensive as she attended numerous tertiary institutions in England and Canada. She is also a notable attorney by profession. Minister Hannah Martin is a 5-time Member of Parliament for the Angliston constituency. On September 20th, 2021, she was sworn in as Minister of Education and Technical and Vocational Training. Since coming to office, Mrs. Hannah Martin has made it a priority to remediate the learning gap created by online learning due to the COVID-19 pandemic. A devoted Anglican, Mrs. Hannah Martin was married to the late Mr. Leon A. Martin and is a proud mother of 3 children. Join in with us as we receive our Minister of Education and Technical and Vocational Training, the Honorable Glennis Hannah Martin. Please stand.
Please have a seat, and thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to Elliot Ferdinand for that wonderful introduction. Good morning, everyone. Their Royal Highnesses, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, the Minister of Health and Wellness, the Honorable Michael Darville, the Minister of Labor and Immigration, the Honorable Keith Bell, the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, the Honorable Mario Boleg, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education and Technical and Vocational Training, the Honorable Zane Lightburn, the Honorable Pia Glover Roll, Minister of State in the Ministry of Public Service and Foreign Affairs, my colleague, Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Works, the Honorable Bacchus Roll, Her Excellency High Commissioner to CARICOM, Leslie Miller Bryce, the Honorable Leroy Major, who I believe is here, Member of Parliament for the Southern Shores constituency, Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Lorraine Ambrister, Permanent Secretary, Mr. Jack Thompson, Director of Education, Mr. Marcellus Taylor, other senior government officials, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my Bahamian people, good morning again. I bring greetings for a few moments. We welcome their Royal Highnesses to Sybil Strawn Primary School. Woo! One of the many public primary schools throughout our archipelago. This school is named after one of our premier educators, the late Sybil Strawn, who was a veteran teacher and administrator who dedicated almost her entire life to the upliftment and advancement of the Bahamian children. This beautiful school, previously called the Carmichael Road Primary School after the former Governor Sir James Carmichael Smith, was renamed in her honor on March 9th, 2015. And I understand the family is here. Would they stand? The Strawn family? Thank you. We haven't forgotten. Just Wednesday past, our national parliament debated a national honors bill. During the course of debate, there was strong bipartisan agreement of the necessity to more aggressively and purposefully and permanently memorialize and monumentalize those persons who have been so pivotal to the formation of our national identity and our unified progress as a Bahamian people. People such as our great leaders, those who out the course of history fought for our freedom from oppression and tyranny, those who extended our unique cultural voice, those who dedicated their lives to the full progress of our people in every sphere of existence, our sporting heroes who herald our beautiful flag as they take the victory lap on the world stage. Welcome home, Shawnee. And our brilliant Rhodes Scholars, those who by their stellar example have inspired generations of Bahamians, and those who sacrificed their lives in defense of our sovereign shores. We are reminded of the words of the late Pan-Africanist, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, that a people without knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. It is important to note that while the journey of our people has been most difficult, we celebrate that it has been and continues to be the strength and the resilience and excellence and dogged determination of successive generations, which has allowed us not only to endure the painful ravages of history, but to emerge as a new people, crafting our own sacred destiny. Key to this emergence is the education of our people. And while pre-1967, access to education for the masses was restricted and in most instances inaccessible, where there being only one public secondary school in the country to service the entire population. Today, there is universal free access to education at scores of schools nationwide. The product of these stalwart efforts are seen today with a sampling of our beautiful children who attend this school and all of the precious children of this nation. As I have stated, our journey as a people has not been without difficulty or challenge, but our resolve is invincible. And with God's grace, we will be victorious on all fronts in every way. And so today, in the brilliance of a beautiful Bahamian liquid sunshine, we again welcome you. I trust that in your travels throughout the Bahamas, as you visit Abaco and Grand Bahama, you will capture a glimpse of our rich culture, that you will witness the indomitable spirit of our people and experience the gracious warmth of the Bahamian people and our generous hospitality. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister, for your timely remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, it is significant that our students will now be hearing from Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Cambridge. On April 29th, 2011, Prince William and Miss Catherine Middleton were married at Westminster Abbey, and she was conferred with the title Duchess of Cambridge by Her Majesty the Queen. The Duke and Duchess have 3 children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. Her Royal Highness has given her support to initiatives and organizations that are intricately tied to the well-being and enhancement of the lives of young people. Some of these organizations include The Place to Be, NHS Charities Together, East Anglia's Children's Hospices, Forward Trust, and Action for Children. In the past, their Royal Highnesses, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, have visited several Commonwealth countries on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen, and hence, their presence with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I invite you to please stand as I present to you Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Cambridge.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everybody. I hope you didn't get too wet coming here, and apologies for bringing this British weather with us. But I wanted to address the children here of Bahamas. And whether you're here in the school today with William and me, or joining virtually from across the Bahamas, thank you so much for such a warm welcome. We are so thrilled to be here in the Bahamas, a country that has made us feel so at home as soon as we set foot on its soil. If you're a child growing up in this country today, it feels to me like you are very blessed indeed. The spectacular natural environment of the Bahamas is one of those blessings. I only wish we were here longer to be able to visit all of your 700 islands during our stay. Our three children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, all love being by the sea too. So I hope they will be able to experience your clear waters and beautiful beaches before too long. However, as much as you have these natural wonders to enjoy, I know that the last few years have not been easy for many of you. The pandemic has taken you away from your classrooms and your friends, and learning from home, I'm sure, has been very difficult. That is why it is so wonderful that after 2 years of almost being away from each other, you have recently returned to school and have been reunited with your teachers and friends again. I can certainly feel the excitement and energy here today amongst you. One of the hardest things I think we've all found about the pandemic was being separated from the people we love. But we've also had the chance to rediscover just how important our families are and just how important our friends are too. I always think it's the simplest things in life that bring us the most joy. Playing together, chatting to your friends at school, eating meals together, and listening to each other's stories. These are the things that bring us together and give meaning to our lives. The connections, the relationships, the friendships that you make during school are so special. So please look after them, cherish them, and take time for them. And remember to be kind and understanding and loving to yourself and others too. Today, I also wanted to say a huge thank you to your parents, guardians, and teachers. They, I'm sure, have found the pandemic equally hard, but they're doing one of the most important jobs out there, nurturing your young minds and helping to shape your futures. We all owe them a huge debt of gratitude. Our future society depends on it. So a big thank you to them all and for all that they do. You have a wonderful proverb in your country: when the moon is not full, the stars shine more brightly. I see all of you children as the stars of this country, and I hope these difficult experiences have given you the motivation, empathy, and compassion to become fully engaged citizens of tomorrow, who will become and make Bahamas the vibrant and life-affirming and soul-enriching place it is today. Thank you once again for having us today and for such a warm welcome.
To the Duchess, we would like you to take center stage. Your Royal Highness, your kind words will remain with us for years to come. We now invite His Royal Highness, Duke of Cambridge, to join Her Royal Highness on the stage for special presentations. Please be seated. The winner of the Platinum Jubilee Student Art Competition, Miss Kaylee Demerit, will present the winning artwork to His Royal Highness. And the 2022 National Primary School Student of the Year, Miss Chelsea Smith, will present 2 books written by the children of the Bahamas to Her Royal Highness.
Your Royal Highness, I present to you a portrait of the Queen on behalf of the students across the length and breadth of the Bahamas in honor of the Platinum Jubilee of Her Majesty, the Queen.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Your Royal Highness, please accept these books, Around the Archipelago and Expressions, written by the creative students of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We hope that you enjoy reading them and sharing them with your children someday.
Thank you so much. It's very special.
Thank you. We now invite the audience to view information about the Platinum Jubilee on the screen while their Royal Highnesses dialogue with selected students and teachers in New Providence and students from the Family Islands via Zoom. Following the dialogue will be a commemorative tree planting, after which their Royal Highnesses will insert a time capsule to memorialize the occasion.
Hello, I'm Lisa Ballard of the Communications section of the Ministry of Education and Technical and Vocational Training. Welcome to this special edition of Ed Talk. The news of Prince William, Duke of Cambridge, and his wife Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, has created quite a stir in the nation of sun, sand, and sea. The history of the Bahamas and the House of Windsor are intricately woven. The monarchy of the Bahamas is a form of government in which a hereditary monarch reigns. Queen Elizabeth II, the current monarch and head of state, has reigned since the death of her father, King George VI, on February 6, 1952. Since the Queen does not reside on the islands, the Governor General of the Bahamas assumes the majority of her constitutional responsibilities. The Queen and other members of the royal family have visited the Bahamas many times. The Queen and her husband, Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, visited the islands as part of larger Caribbean tours in February 1966, February 1975, and again in October 1977 as part of her Silver Jubilee tours. Her Majesty would return to the beautiful shores of the Bahamas in 1985 to attend the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, or CHOGM. It was on February 27, 1966, that Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip first arrived in the Bahamas on the Royal Yacht Britannia for a 2-day visit. Sir Ralph Grey, Baron Grey of Norton, Governor of the Bahamas from 1964 to 1968, along with Sir Roland Theodore Simonet, the first Premier of the Bahamas after self-governance was achieved in 1964, welcomed Her Majesty the Queen and Prince Philip. Hundreds of Bahamian spectators applauded and cheered the royals as they walked through the streets of downtown New Providence into Rawson Square. The royals were then carried off to an exciting exhibition on Clifford Park, where scouts and guides put on an outstanding display for them. Gymnastics were done by children, and police dogs ran through the obstacle course. The Royal Bahamas Police Band put on a spectacular performance, which was well received by the royals and all in attendance. Not forgetting the sick, the Queen and Prince Philip also made time to tour a number of wards at the Princess Margaret Hospital, which is named for the Queen's late sister. They were particularly interested in the well-being of the young patients in the children's ward. A commemorative stamp was created to memorialize the Queen's visit to the Princess Margaret Hospital, which meant so much to the children and staff who were afforded the opportunity to meet her and the Prince. The royals also paid a visit to the children at the Ranfurly Children's Home, which was founded in 1966. The royals were entertained by the children of the home who sang songs for them. Before leaving, the Queen spent time speaking with the children and members of the staff. Afterwards, the Queen and Prince Philip traveled on a horse-drawn carriage to the Bahama-Rama exhibition, a noteworthy excursion that displayed various aspects of Bahamian life. The Queen and Prince Philip's visit to the Bahamas in 1966 was a truly amazing time in this country's history, and it was not soon forgotten by all who experienced it. Queen Elizabeth II and the Duke of Edinburgh returned to the Bahamas in 1975 as part of a wider Caribbean tour, and again in 1977 as part of the Silver Jubilee celebrations. The Silver Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II marked the 25th anniversary of Her Majesty's ascension to the thrones of the United Kingdom and other Commonwealth realms. During her 1977 visit to the capital, she and Prince Philip attended the opening of the Bahamas Parliament. Sir Lyndon Oscar Pinlan, the Bahamas' first black prime minister, who led the country to independence in 1973, delivered the official speech to the Queen, who was wearing her spectacles, which on that occasion was very rare at the time. This would be the most significant event for Bahamians during this most important visit. Queen Elizabeth II would visit the Bahamas on 2 more occasions, in 1985 and in 1994, to attend the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, also known as CHOGM. Commemorative coins were minted to mark the significance of both of these visits. On February 6, 2022, Queen Elizabeth II became the first British monarch to be honored with a Platinum Jubilee, commemorating 70 years of service to the people of the United Kingdom, the Commonwealth, and the realms. The official royal visit to the Bahamas by Prince William, Duke of Cambridge, and his wife Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, is part of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations. Thank you for joining us on this historical journey. For the communications section of the Ministry of Education, I'm Lisa Ballard.
Very much. Thank you very much, Lisa Ballard. Well received. By the way, the video is courtesy of the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas. What a time, what a journey.
Yes.
So many years, 1966. 1975, 1977, 1985, and 1994. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II has been here on so many occasions.
So many occasions.
This must be one of her favorite stops out of all the countries in the world.
Yes, of course, because it's better in the Bahamas.
And you know who found it better? Her husband, the late Prince Philip. So now we go back to the stage.
Well, you're actually back with me, Warren and Adama, and welcome again, Bahamas.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we've just been viewing a presentation from the Ministry of Education's Communications arm, I think in conjunction with Bahamas Information Services. We're going to wait now for the resumption of activities there at the school, and we'll take that again once that happens. But so far, first of all, I was very struck by the Duchess's remarks. Very eloquent, and she spoke really from a place of knowledge. At least her speech was a place of knowledge about the Bahamas.
And again, I like to talk about the consistency in their philosophy, because the philosophy is how you think, and to say to the kids that they are the stars of this country, and how they incorporated the environment, the clean air that we have. You know, I am sure that the future will arrive, and many of those students who were there would have been inspired, reflect, and they will be singled out as some of the patriotic, accomplished, great Bahamians.
What I don't want to miss in all of this, though, is how, and I think you just alluded to it, how these visits impact children. When you are selected to be among a group of children, gets an opportunity to visit a school, to see the Duke and Duchess, to see the future king, and as you said, to be inspired by them, that is life-changing and impactful for decades to come.
Yes, and you know, I really like what the minister, the Honorable Glennis Anna Martin, who's been in for 5 terms, and you know, it's really amazing. Where destiny catches up with you, is nothing you could do, because she's been offered that and wanted for a long time to be the Minister of Education, and those opportunities were not there. But in the time now where you're talking about her father as the father of Bahamianization and a real strong proponent for education, and someone who turned down the knighthood to talk about the other day in Parliament, where there is an added and more intensified resolve to really celebrate our national heroes, and to have moved from the Carmichael Primary School into the Sybil Strawn as demonstration that those who are contributing to the growth of our country must be honored. And I think it brings it all together, so that, as it's been said, that we have to have knowledge of our past if we're going to have strength in our future.
And you know, I'm a very strong proponent of that. I think there are so many moments in our history that we have forgotten or no longer talk about, or I think our generations cannot appreciate because they don't know about them. And I think, you know, events like this help us to revisit those events and talk about the things that make us Bahamian. Because whether we accept it or not, this visit and previous royal visits are forever etched in our history, but also by the very nature of what happens on a royal visit, they've helped to establish some things, some namings, recognition to certain openings, ribbon cuttings, these kinds of things. These events have led to the formal introduction of some institutions that still exist today, that are at the foundation of who we are and how we function.
It's opened our archives to remind us of our history, to introduce some. And we know that everything is seasons. And when we know a season, the season now we have a greater appreciation is reflect, remember, or being introduced to the past. That the cry from, even though it may be the fringes or the minority in our communities, to say that, well, why are you here? It also informs us of why they're here, the contribution that they have made. But we must not also miss the opportunity now in this to include what we have accomplished. We have 50 years coming up in the anniversary. What have we accomplished as a nation? What do we see in the future? What hope through the vision of the country that we are going to not only aspire to, but put action steps in place so that we will continue to have leaders who are influencing and impacting the world. And so it starts at that fundamental place called education, that we should have more curriculum that reminds us of our history, of the role that our business, political, spiritual leaders, civic leaders have played in the development and preserving. The Bahamas is the third strongest country in the Western Hemisphere, that we do not allow ourselves to slip back, but we need to push ourselves forward.
Thank you, Debbie. We are going to now go to our Jasmine Brown, who is downtown, where the Royals will visit the Gardens of Remembrance and witness a cultural display on Rawson Square. She joins us live, having braved the weather this morning as well. Jasmine, what's happening downtown? You are going to be very soon in the midst of a lot of activity.
Yes, Jerome, as you can hear behind me, there is a lot of activity. You can see behind me there is the Royal Bahamas Defense Force Band, and right behind them we have the Police Force Band, and before them we have the Urban Renewal Band. And also behind me, if my cameraman can pan, you can see there are a lot of spectators that came off the cruise ships, and also you have a few Bahamians sprinkled in. Not exactly those who work downtown, but those who wanted to come and see the Royals. I spoke to one woman who was here from 7 a.m. this morning, and she told me that she had arrived even before the police. So there is some excitement downtown.
Thank you. Jasmine, I know that even at this time, people there is some interest. Now, help us to sort of, if you could draw a picture of how many Bahamians you think are mixed in. I come from a period where we stood up as children and as young adults and as Bahamians, and we stood up for hours waiting on the Queen to pass. We don't see that same level of excitement. I'm sure the weather has something to do with it, but give us an idea of how many Bahamians may be mixed in with the tourists who have come off the ship.
Well, directly behind me, we have a lot of locals. The cruise ship visitors are exactly in the Rawson Square area, and we have some sprinkled under the Gucci store pavilion. I can tell you that when we arrived, it was pouring rain, and if you can believe it, there were people actually standing in the rain. And when you watch news tonight, you will see they're soaked, but they did interviews with me saying that this was like a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
And that's it right there. Thank you very much, Jasmine. We'll check back in with you later on as the next phase of this visit this morning begins. We want to check back with our Berthany McDermott at some point. He is still stationed at the Sybil Strawn Primary School, just to wrap up there. But you heard something very profound, Jasmine said. For some people, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And I think we don't always appreciate that the Royals are rock stars for many people. People, regardless of the naysayers and those who aren't interested or may be indifferent, there are still millions of people who are fascinated and captivated by the royal family.
I'm happy for that, and I was happy to hear that you have people braving the weather from 7 o'clock. The Duchess indicated and apologized for bringing the British weather here. There's a little slight difference between British weather here and the British weather and the weather here. Thankfully, we don't rain all day. It doesn't rain all day in Britain. It rains all day today. So you can see that the royal visit has created a path for the rain to hold up, so that we can enjoy the cultural experience shortly in Rawson Square.
That visit to downtown will also include a stop first at the Garden of Remembrance, where there will be some interaction with some of the heroes of Hurricane Dorian. I think one of the things that we have failed at as a nation, I think, since Dorian, is to properly and to continuously recognize those heroes of that time. And, in all fairness, we were hit with COVID, not long after Dorian, and so a lot of things stopped. So I'm happy that this is now an opportunity to recognize those individuals again and remember what they did. Because I think for a significant majority of the country, we have moved on. But there are workers, there are those who were affected, there are the victims, there are the families of the victims, and there are still those who live in those communities who are still living with this. So this is a good national recognition and remembrance in many ways for me of Dorian and what it still means for the Bahamas.
Another example of the benefit of the royal visit, because it is unlikely that they would have a platform that reflects on the trauma of Dorian. We forget that there are families who are still homeless. There are families who still don't know where they're going to get the next meal from. There are Aberconians and Freeport Grand Bahamians who are heroes and risk their lives for others. Now the royal visit gives them a platform, because in the Bahamas, and I think we are changing somewhat, but in the Bahamas, what's in the headlines may last for 9-10 days, and then you kind of forget as long as another headline comes up. But the challenges of Dorian still remains with us, and we have to, as we even approach a new hurricane season, we have to look at how we continuously prepare ourselves for those storms, but also celebrate those who have helped others save lives.
I think, too, one of the things that we have not talked about is the media attention that this royal visit will bring and the focus that it will bring to some things in the Bahamas. For me, I think what is most important in this visit is the fact that through the imagery, we are sending the message to the world that we are open for business. The Bahamas is open. They are welcoming guests, whether they be tourists who are coming to stay in an Airbnb Atlantis or the Royals. We are welcoming visitors. And also, we are still remembering the things that thrust us into the spotlight not so long ago with Hurricane Dorian. And tomorrow, I think we will see that in play even more as they travel to Abaco and Grand Bahama. So twofold for me. One, we are open for business, but remember that we are still hurting in many ways due to this catastrophic event that happened.
On your 2 points, the global impact. Listen, this is worth millions of dollars if we were to translate the cost of inviting them and extending hospitality to them. It's no different than when we have a Christmas party, we do different things at home to spruce things up, the environment, and make it welcoming. It's on a larger...
paint the house for Christmas.
Paint the house for Christmas. But the point is that we talk about $400,000 for the road, but what is the value? All the media around the world coming here, all of the free advertising we're going to get on the coverage. Can you imagine how many millions of dollars that is? And so when we are displaying excellence, first class has arrived. So we really feel proud of the way the royals have been welcomed, how they are being hosted, the thought that has been obviously invested in with some of the best minds and experienced minds to make this an experience that the royals would never forget.
Yeah, and I think with all of the detractors and the distractions even in some of the previous stops, I think the important things like that sometimes get lost because, like with many other things, we take our cues sometimes from other countries and what's happening there. And I think what we would have seen even in the social media space is a spillover of that into, well, why are they coming and why is this important and why are we spending this money? But you made a very, very valid point. In addition to that, it's something we've always done. I mean, we've always spent money on these visits. That's what we do.
Listen, Jerome, I have been in motorcades with President Clinton and President Obama. They closed down from one city to the next. I wouldn't want to say what it cost for the security in those motorcades. There's a heightened risk of security that moves with a leader of a country. It is going to cost more. But besides the security, you have the whole environment is created around that to protect the peace that is governing, necessary to govern that visit. So it is no different here. When the Prime Minister, you know, you and I have covered Prime Ministers. I love traveling with them. You?
I enjoy it.
Yeah, but listen,
you move seamlessly.
Seamlessly. And guess what? All the FBI, everybody
Yeah,
out,
they
get
the
to
Secret
go on the
Service, the
side of the
FBI,
place.
everybody. Yeah.
Listen, but all of that is a cost.
Yeah.
And so it is a culture.
And it's a cost extended to our leaders
To
when
our
they
leaders.
travel.
This
to
is
other
what I'm
countries,
talking about.
yes.
When we travel with the prime ministers of our country, it's the same thing. They extend it to this small little country.
Yeah,
and so it's just a part of leadership. When you ascend to the throne of your purpose and you are serving not only a national role, but with a global responsibility, the rules of the game is different for those of us who are just doing ordinary things.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Debbie Bartlett, we are going to take a quick break in our coverage. We have lots more to bring to you today. We're behind schedule, but we're going to stay with you for as long as it takes. Stay with us. You're watching the best coverage on TV and online. This is RTV. You're watching the Royal Visit. We're back right after this.
Every journey starts with the first step, and mine starts here. I believed in Tokyo, the belief that I could be, we could be the best. We are drenched in Bahamian pride, no matter where we go. In 5 years, Alive built the Bahamas' best network, delivering faster speeds and stronger connections to all 700 islands and keys. I am proud to be Director of Speed and Connection. Never stop dreaming and never stop believing.
What makes an icon? Is it 80 years in the business? Or inventing a recipe that changes the way we enjoy chicken around the world? No. What makes an icon are the fans. Order KFC and take home a true mealtime icon.
Welcome back. We are still in the midst of live coverage of the Royal Visit. I'm your host, Jerome Sawyer, along with Debbie Bartlett. We're going to swing now back to the Sybil Strawn Primary School, where activities continue there. This is the first stop today for the Royals. Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Cambridge, is participating in a tree planting there. She would have just planted a tree there at the school. And that indicates to us that the activities are wrapping up there at the school. We see here a feed coming in from the Ministry of Education and Bahamas Information Services. And so, of course, that tree planting, we're just trying to get a sense of where we are in the program there at the school. So I'm waiting on an indication from the team as to where we are with this and if they are getting ready to leave and to head downtown. So we are now taking some shots of the departure. The official program is over. We see the Duke and Duchess exiting the school. And in just a few moments, they will be leaving in the official vehicle. We see a gift presentation there to the Duchess from a student there at the school. Okay, I'm being corrected. This is the time capsule that we would have heard about. So they are putting something in the time capsule. And if you know how a time capsule works, it's going to now be sealed and put away and opened years later, and it will be, at that time, a historical snapshot into what happened here today. So the Royals were able to put something into that time capsule, and that will now be sealed and opened some years from now. So if you're around to see when this reopens, you'll be able to say, I remember the day that was sealed. And of course, that will be a moment in time recognizing and remembering this historic visit at that school. And so these time capsules are very, very important. Debbie, again, you see here just the very sincere and the sort of the heartfelt greetings you feel the sincerity almost in this couple.
And I'm so happy that we're extending this warm hospitality to them. It's really heartwarming because they deserve it. Like you said, you can walk into Rome and identify funny spirit, funny attitudes. And so equally, you can recognize when there is genuine expression or expressions of really being happy to be here. And I get a sense, watching it from the arrival yesterday and this morning, that there is a sincerity and genuine happiness that they're here to represent the Queen on her Platinum Jubilee.
The royal couple now are getting ready to leave the school, given their official goodbyes, and you see there the car with the royal standard about to pull off, the lead car, and they will be heading downtown from here to begin the next phase of this event. We are significantly behind schedule due to the inclement weather, but you know, such is the case with events like this. You will have a snag from time to time, and today was no different. Our Royal Bahamas Police Force is busy. It is their job to ensure that this entourage moves around safely and efficiently and as quickly as possible, so they've got a busy job ahead of them for the next day or so. And this event in principle is over. And it's now on to Rawson Square, where there's going to be, well, first of all to the Garden of Remembrance, and then to Rawson Square, and then later on today out to Montague for the regatta in many ways out there. We are going to check in with our Berthany McDermott in just a moment, who is at the Sybil Strawn Primary. I can hear him in the audio here in the studio, so I know that he is getting ready. So I'm going to allow my folks to pull that down for just a moment. Thank you, guys. So, Debbie, school visit is done. A tradition in many ways with these royal events. We have witnessed what I think is the official start to a good visit.
Really, and you know, it's good to hear that Junkanoo in the background, you know. We haven't heard it and participated in 2 years.
Yes.
And so I know that is going to be a highlight of the experience for the Royals. And certainly, I think it's a very strong start for what is to come.
Yeah. And okay, we are getting ready, as I said I was just getting a note there. We are getting ready to go back and not happening. Okay, so given all that has happened, this is a very dynamic situation, as our audience can appreciate. Moving from venue to venue, even from a broadcasting perspective, has been very challenging for us because you have to be in place at a particular period of time ahead of the show. And once you're there, you're stuck. Once that entourage moves, then you've got to get to the next location seamlessly. So there's no time to drive crew A or this crew from there to there. So our folks are busy over the next few days.
Absolutely. You know what had prepared us for times like this is, believe it or not, I think, Junkanoo. Remember when we covered Junkanoo? That's like 24-hour coverage.
Longest broadcast of your life.
So the day before, we had to set all of that because, you know, you had from one end of the Bay Street to the next. Remember now, we did not have the kind of remote equipment when the Queen first arrived. We had to do with what we had. Now we have the ENG cameras that can go live to the different sites, but it's still the dynamics of how we connect one to the next to protect the quality of the audio, the video. Making sure that, you know, we have the right lighting so we don't come up a different color than we are, and all of those technical details that has to be considered so that we can put the best foot forward for the country.
I think missing in all of this as well is, you know, from a country perspective, this is a good opportunity for us to celebrate in a way as well.
It is.
We're about to witness a cultural show. Some of the best in the business are about to perform. And these are the kinds of things that we need to get us back to a place of normalcy. We have lived in such strange times in the past 2 years. We've not even been able to do this.
No.
We've not been able to sit in a studio with each other unmasked for such a long time. We haven't been able to see live performances. Everything has been very virtual. Junkanoo has been absent for 2 years. And so sailing regattas, you know, our folks have not been able to get their boats in the water to sail, you know, in regattas. So that affects the psyche of the country. It's put who we are on hold in so many ways, because that's a part. We go to Junkanoo, we go to regattas, we go to concerts. All those things have been non-existent. So in some ways, I see this as an opportunity for us to again, not only just show the world, but even our own people that we are getting back to the Bahamas that we know.
It's a needed stimulus to the economy of the Bahamas. And not only is it stimulating business, it is also creating an opportunity to expand our business. The areas that you highlighted in terms of the cultural experience that we would be eyewitnesses to today is really going back to the foundation of our success. When the late Sir Clement Maynard, and even before that, Sir Stafford Sands, remember how we built tourism? They would take culture on the road. And when we have a chance to display the strength of our culture, it creates opportunities in a global marketplace. And of course, when they come to the Bahamas, I'd love to see the day again. One of the greatest joys for me when I receive guests over the years. Remember the Playboy? Mm-hmm. Can I tell you, that was such an entertainment center. And our makeup artist may not like me to say this, but you know, she is one of the best dancers in the world. I mean, ballet dancers, mm-hmm. Broadway kind of skill. And here it's Stephanie Hanna, who married to Sarge Hanna. I mean, they were in there, and you wouldn't know the difference between Broadway and the Bahamas at the Playboy Cup. But also, that was packaged with fire dancing and limbo dancing. This is how we have become who we are, rich with culture. And when we take those opportunities away and we don't take deliberate measures to preserve it, we weaken ourselves because we are as strong as our culture.
These visits give us opportunities and platforms to speak to where we are as a nation, and you're so right. We do not see our culture on display enough. And as much as I love Junkanoo and I enjoy it, I always say I think sometimes we do ourselves a disservice because that seems to be sometimes the only thing we pay enough attention to. But there are so many other aspects of our culture we no longer see anymore. And they're only on display at very specific times. When 20, 30 years ago, you could walk into the lobby of any hotel in the Bahamas and you could get live Bahamian music. Certain nights you said there were the fire dancing and the limbo and you even watched the movies of those periods, you know, the Bond movies, and they were shot in the British colonial, and there was fire dancing. And I look at those things and I think, these things don't exist anymore.
But look at the industry that created. One of the first millionaires, black millionaires, was Freddie Munnings down in The Cat and the Fiddle. Mm-hmm. We look at Peanuts Taylor, another King Eric and his Knights. Where can we go to see that? Al Colley and the VIPs. I mean, these were rich cultural centers where we had somewhere to take our visitors, and we enjoyed it as Bahamians ourselves.
And you said that, I'm reminded of something. In 1985, when the Queen was here for that visit, when she came for Chogam, there was a command performance done of Sammy Swain, which the Queen was able to see.
That. Yes.
Yes, and if you know Sammy Swain, it is by far one of the most epic on-stage productions we have ever done by the late E. Clement Bethel. And the Queen was able to witness that. And that's a story, if you know the story of Sammy Swain, that was set in Cat Island.
That's right. You know, again, when we don't celebrate, if we don't use it, we lose it. When you talk about E. Clement Bethel, does this generation know E. Clement Bethel?
Only from the National Arts Festival.
Winston Sanders? You know, how many people know Enos Taylor? King Eric and his Knights? Al Colley and the VIPs. These are national heroes. We even forget the Bahamian. Bahamian has put us on the map internationally. And one of the things that is I believe, I don't think this will be a strong word, I can go for it anyhow, is really egregious to our culture, to consider those who have put us on the map for any opportunity, any industry, to cancel the formers who have made contributions to our future.
We are hoping shortly to get back to our downtown spots. Because of the rain, it has posed a bit of a challenge with some things that we're trying to do. We're looking to get back up shortly and be able to view what's happening downtown. But when we sort of look at what this Platinum Jubilee means even for the Commonwealth, and I want to talk a little bit more globally now, we are still a part of that Commonwealth group of nations. We come together as a body every so often. There is a CHOGM meeting planned for later this year in Kigali, Rwanda, and that's an opportunity for the Commonwealth nations to come together. And it's usually a time when the Queen is there. I don't know whether she will attend this year, given her age and some other things. But when you look at groupings like that, and when we talk about, or there's talk about the Bahamas, following Barbados and other countries, and severing ties and with Great Britain, becoming a republic and all these other ties, there are benefits to being a part of these international groupings that I think sometimes we miss.
Absolutely, and when we talk about republics, I think that there are two forms of being a republic. One is the democratic republic, that you remain within the association of the Commonwealth, and then there's the republic that I believe that Jamaica may be indicating that they want to be totally independent. And I suppose, every country has to look at its vision and what affects them and what can impact them.
I'm going to interrupt you just for a moment. We are able to show some video from downtown now. I think this is the Garden of Remembrance. Prime Minister Philip Davis and Mrs. Davis have arrived. They are just ahead of the Duke and Duchess, and they are getting ready to take their places for this event. We see they're in that receiving line to the Chief Justice and others who will be a part of that official receiving line once the royals arrive. Just to give you a vantage point, so you understand what you're looking at, this is Parliament Street, where we're looking at. This is the southern side, if we can, of Parliament Street, near to Shirley Street. Governor General, His Excellency C.A. Smith, coming to take his place. Cornelius A. Smith, our Governor General, who is the Queen's representative, has arrived to take his place in that receiving line. Of course, he would have been the head of state who would have met the royal couple as they arrived yesterday at the airport. He, along with Mrs. Smith, have arrived to take their place there at the Garden of Remembrance. Debbie, if we can look in the background, I see people lined up behind the barricade, reminiscent of the royal visits of old. I can tell you my first encounter, it was 1977, and we were on the corner of Bay Street and Parliament Street, right there at the House of Assembly. And the Queen, I think she was speaking in Parliament then, and she left, and her motorcade came and turned up Parliament Street. And as a little boy, the moment I saw the Queen in the car, I will never forget. And right on point, we see now the car with the royal standard indicating the arrival of the Duke and Duchess to the Garden of Remembrance. again in the background, people eagerly awaiting, and just a glimpse,
Just
as
a
Jasmine
glimpse.
would have said, an opportunity of a lifetime, just a glimpse of the royal couple.
And I'm sure they have positioned themselves there strategically, like the lady on Bay Street coming there at 7 o'clock in the morning. You know, it's
She's a brave lady.
yes, but you know, usually in our day we would even get there earlier because
yes.
the crowds
Hours and
would be that
hours.
much more hours ahead
Yeah.
of time because we somehow understood the historical significance, and so it's really good that we see that the people of the Bahamas are, generally speaking, embracing them with their love and expressions of support by showing up.
Also, you could hear, I'm not sure if our audience was able to hear it, but crowd cheering in the background as they turned and waved to the crowd. Of course, the official receiving line, as the Duke and Duchess make their way down the line, the Chief Justice in that receiving line as well. We also see there the leader of the opposition in his first opportunity to meet the royal couple. The Speaker of the House.
And of course, we know that the Governor General is that office that the Queen signs off on and
Yes.
appoints, and so that comes through the system of the Commonwealth. And when nations decide that the Commonwealth would not be a part of the governance of the country, we then know that we won't have a Governor General but a President.
I just wanted to take note too, Dr. Nakia Forbes is being introduced to His Royal Highness. Dr. Nakia Forbes emerged as a leader in our fight against COVID-19 as the head of infectious diseases. She has been a guest in the studio many times just this week, helping to guide us in many ways through COVID-19 and through those very difficult times. And she emerged, in my eyes, as a national hero in all of this. And I'm thrilled to see this moment where she gets an opportunity to talk. And obviously he has been briefed on who she is. And so again, this ties into the recognition of those frontline healthcare workers, those who have led this country and in many ways held our hands, you know, in this COVID fight. And so he has an opportunity now to speak with her. I'd love to know what that conversation
Well, I'm
is
sure
about.
you're going to know, the reporter that you are.
The reporter in me is dying
Absolutely.
to know.
And you know, I agree with you. We want to commend people like Dr. Forbes, and she has really blazed a trail. And the leadership team of the Public Hospitals Authority and PMH, they did a great job in guiding us and navigating us through this global pandemic, and we continue to see the benefits of good leadership with our cases going down, while in some countries like China is going up again. So we have a lot to be grateful for.
He is now meeting the president of the Bahamas Red Cross Association, Therese Curry, along with some other Red Cross workers who, again, would have played an integral role and an important role, not just in the COVID-19 fight, but going back to Hurricane Dorian and the rescue effort, the mammoth rescue effort that took place following Hurricane Dorian. It was nothing that they could have been prepared for. None of us could have been prepared for, but certainly they did an amazing job, and still in many ways are still in that recovery effort, still helping to provide, as you mentioned, meals to families who don't know where that next meal is coming from.
The challenge continues. I've been with families who are still traumatized when bad weather is coming.
Yeah.
They are deathly afraid. And so the trauma, the residuals of the trauma continues. And I believe that, again, the sensitivities of both the royals and the organizing team for this royal visit has demonstrated a sensitivity of the areas that is not particularly only local, but global, with global relevance.
We also see, just a quick interruption there, we also see the Duchess meeting with some healthcare workers as well. We see some nurses who I'm sure eagerly awaiting their opportunity to get eagerly awaiting their opportunity, and that's about to happen right now. We see nurses representing the healthcare system. This must be such a proud moment for them, Debbie. I mean, they have been through so much.
So much, they deserve it.
I mean, from Dorian straight into COVID-19 without a break. And I am just so happy to see this opportunity as a thank you, a national thank you to them for the great work that they have done. Sometimes we talk about the doctors, but we forget that the nurses are as a doctor says to me, I can't work less than a nurse there.
Exactly.
Exactly. And so it's so very important that we recognize them. And again, what a proud moment it must be for them, eh?
A proud moment for them, and he's not in the shot now, but Jack Thompson introduced the Duchess to the nurses and the other health workers. Do you know something? Jack Thompson has been around. He's another national hero. He's a treasure to the country that brings a lot of experience and heart for the people.
Yeah, I know. And people don't realize that working in government is not always easy. We are very critical.
Yes.
But working through successive governments, it's not always easy because every government, every minister, every prime minister brings a different character to the office and to governance, and that you have to adjust to.
He needs to have a school just on that. How do you do it? How do you survive in the public service in successive governments?
How do you tell the Prime Minister you can't do that?
No.
Which you have to do at times.
Yes, and live to see the next
come to work the next day. But in all seriousness, our public servants, they are the ones, they are the engines. They continue to keep the wheels of government going.
And that gives us the institutional memory.
Yeah, most definitely. And again, we have to remember that what we see happening, these things were developed directly from the systems of government or the system of government that exists in Great Britain.
That's it.
So when we took over, these systems continued. So they must have come from somewhere. And we sometimes forget that the continuity of governance began in Great Britain.
Absolutely. And guess what? When we manage it properly, it's part of the reason, a big part of the reason, we're able to preserve and protect stability.
Yeah, stability and democracy, that's
democracy.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And so we talked about the Rastas early on, but it shows that democracy is alive and well. Mm-hmm. They may be the minority, but they have a voice.
And they were allowed to express that voice today. And let's be honest, in some countries that cannot happen.
That cannot happen.
It would not have happened today. And so, again, you see moments like this and you realize that our democracy is healthy for all the criticisms and all the things that are wrong. There are still many things in this country that still do work. And I think now the Prince has moved on to even more healthcare workers. Not quite sure who's in this grouping, maybe some doctors. But he certainly is moving along. Dr. Forbes, she is responsible for the introductions and helping him to understand who these workers are. What an honor, though, it really must be for her as well, to be able to showcase her colleagues in the Bahamas.
And you know what? I feel proud for her.
I am
and
very
for all
proud.
the Bahamians participating, because I know I can say, listen, these Bahamians, they are smart.
Yes.
Yes.
And I can tell you from personal experience, Dr. Nakia Forbes is smart. She is smart.
See, as another example, we have some problems in the country. I don't know which country doesn't have problems, but we have some problems that we need to address.
Give me a ticket to that one. Give me a ticket there. I need to go visit.
But when we balance the weaknesses in our country that we obviously should continuously work on to be the best little country that our forefathers declared that we are in the world, that we look at our strengths. If we always describe a problem, we become more of the problem. Mm-hmm. If we celebrate our strengths, we're going to see more of our strengths multiply itself.
So today really is a day to celebrate.
It is a day of celebration. Mm-hmm. And, for me, that background of the aquamarine, gold and black It's symbolism of our patriotism and how strong we are as a nation. It's a day of national pride that our Bahamians, our leaders have stepped up to the plate. And that government is both sides, you know, stepped up to the plate of maturity and produced excellence and demonstrated that when we arrive, first class has arrived.
Definitely. And you know, I didn't think about it until you said it. Every image now that's coming from this visit, from this particular segment of the visit, will some way, shape or form will probably have images of the Bahamian flag in the background, whether subliminally, intentionally. But you're right, our national pride is on display. And I'm going to hasten to say, you know, had this been an event where just the Prime Minister or just the Governor General, not to diminish the officers in any way, but if this had been an event with just them, it would not have gotten this amount of recognition and amount of attention. Now, media would have come, done what we had to do and go away, but there you have now an international focus on Bahamian healthcare workers, Bahamian volunteers, Bahamian heroes. This is international focus, and I don't want that to be lost for one moment today.
And you see, the Duke is talking with conviction. It's like he's talking about something that is from his heart. Related to the pandemic, I would imagine, because of course, Britain had hell to pay with the rates in his own family. His father just had COVID the other day, and his grandmother. And so their family was also touched. And I believe all of these personal interactions, experiences with COVID-19 gives and lends a deeper understanding, enlightenment of why it is important for all of us to work together to conquer the challenges that we face.
I think this next grouping looks to be based on the color of the uniform. I think this may be some emergency medical services professional. I think this may be a team from the EMS. I'm just guessing. I'm not quite sure, but I think this may be some of those individuals as well who would have worked as a part of the Dorian rescue and recovery effort. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is that group. He's going to get an opportunity to speak with them as well. Again, these are the folks who work tirelessly, not for great pay, not for great recognition, but they perform a vital role. I see someone I recognize, so I know this is a group from EMS. They provide a vital service, but not always recognized. We, you know, when the ambulance pass, we don't want to put on the side and we rowing and they taking long to come, and you know, it's a lot of criticism. And so this is an opportunity now for us to recognize those frontline workers from the EMS side who are out there every single day, 24 hours a day, rain, you know, sleet, snow, sunshine, they have to be there.
Incentive is the soul to success. And sometimes there are those of us that work tirelessly and it appears that we're not recognized. I imagine that the professionals, health professionals who've been selected to meet the Duke and Duchess are those people who are familiar with going the extra mile, who have separated themselves from mediocrity, who excels in what they do. Can you imagine what that's going to do for them? They're going to want to work harder. And hopefully those who didn't make it would incentivize them to say, listen, let's put our best foot forward at all times, because the future will arrive and we'll have an opportunity to realize a dream that we don't even expect. Or, you know, because I don't think that any of the EMS or our Red Cross officials, doctors, nurses anticipated interacting with royals and a future king.
Oh no, oh no. I am sure that this was not something that they expected, but certainly are honored to receive this opportunity. Most definitely. Of course, in the background, I spoke to them earlier. The Prime Minister is making his way through the crowd, and if you can see behind the Prince, he is meeting with nurses as well. And I think that's important. You bring the royal family, but I think it's important for our leaders to be there as well and to say thank you and to recognize, and not that it hasn't happened, but this it's not just about happy the royal couple are here, but hey, it's our time to tell our people as well thank you.
Absolutely. And you know, as simple as that sounds, it's very profound in what you're saying, because gratefulness leads to plenty. And it throws off selfishness, because community is built on selflessness. And so the mere fact that the leadership has said, listen, I recognize that sign on you that says, I am important too. You are important too. You have gotten us this far. You have helped to get us this far. Let me show you off to the Royals. Come, and I'm going to come too and tell you how much I appreciate you. And I'm sure there are so many more Bahamians who deserve to be in that environment, but space is limited.
Sure.
But it's the symbolic gesture that says to the people of the Bahamas, you rule, I appreciate you.
Yes, you did say, you know, it's a symbolic gesture. Looks now to be a group of doctors based on the stethoscopes. I presume this is a group of doctors that he's come over to meet as well, again being formally introduced by Dr. Forbes here. Another face I recognize in the crowd. I got a lot of phone calls to make tonight to tell my friends how proud I am of them for having made this grouping today. But again, Debbie, I look here, right? And two things stand out to me: females and young Bahamians.
And young Bahamians. In these very high positions.
Yes.
Yes, the future looks bright.
The optics of this
yes.
are so impressive to me, because it's not the same old, and no offense, but it's not the same old faces we're used to seeing, who always get the famous doctors we know. But these are new faces that we have not necessarily seen. One of them I know very well, and I know her work and her input and what she has sacrificed to be where she is, and so this is important.
That is a very powerful observation, and it speaks to the transitioning of leadership with more of the new wine.
Yes.
That can safely, skillfully navigate us to a stronger future.
Somebody somewhere gets it.
Yes.
If I can be that basic.
Yes.
Somebody somewhere gets it and said, hey, let's go after a particular demographic for this event. Because, come on, let's be honest, they could have chosen any number of people. We have some expert doctors who have been around, who are extremely well known. But here we are, a group of females, young faces, not that well known to the wider public. But certainly given this opportunity.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Someone, somewhere gets
it. Yeah, that's our catchphrase. Again,
you better copyright that.
Looking again in the background, I see the Governor General, Cornelius A. Smith. This is an opportunity that every Governor General does not get, to play host to a royal visit.
And I'm so happy for him, Jerome, because he's a nation builder.
Oh, yes.
He's paid the price in contributing to the advancement of our country. And like you said, this is like seldom happens for a Governor General to have this experience.
Yeah. And that's the beauty, too, of, when you have served your time in government, and you take a position like this, and let's be honest, too, let's speak to this for a moment. The position of Governor General transcends politics.
Exactly.
So you serve in some respects, and this is the correct term, but you serve almost at the pleasure of that government. So, of course, we know that the sitting Governor General would have served under another administration, but certainly remains Governor General for the entire Bahamas, regardless of which party is governing. And that's very important. And I don't think people always realize how important, and that's why that role is so important, because whomever sits in that seat must be willing to serve under a government that he or she may not have supported.
Well, that's when majority steps up to the table and people of the country the interests of the people of the country is more than important than a political agenda. And I think we would have seen that, I believe, as well with the Free National movement extending the same grace to Dame Marguerite. Again, majority, and honoring the mother of our nation. And we can only be stronger for it.
Definitely. We are now, I guess, I think it looks like we may be coming, I'm not quite sure what's happening, if there's a formal program or if this is just an informal meeting, but they seem to be making their way through the tent, meeting with these groups. I don't think that there's a formal program, so I think they're just sort of making their way from here and then going over to Rawson Square for this cultural presentation. I think that is about to take place there as well. So it looks like they may be wrapping up very, very soon. There's a lot of activity. What I find interesting about this, you know, in visits in previous years, you had official photographers, and those are the images that you got. Everybody has a cell phone that's out and in use now. So again, the images of these events will live on through social media and other places for such a long time. You know, the one royal that I was able to meet was Prince Harry, and somebody had to take that picture and send it to me. But you know, and I have that mounted in my house. But,
I don't blame you.
But listen, you look at times like now, and it tells you the technology and everything is captured instantly. So there's video. So you don't have to wait on a photographer. So you know, you don't have to wait on these official images, and people are snapping and taking pictures. And again, so this is a viral moment. You see, they're right there on the screen. A viral moment or viral moments that are going to exist from these interactions. And again, for me, all things aside, this is a proud moment for Bahamians, for our healthcare workers who have sacrificed so much. It is an international honor for them, and we need to recognize that and see it for what it is.
You know, I'm so happy for social media and these viral moments that you talk about, because it also exposes us to the natural gifts that we have, the natural talent. And, you know, it's almost that you can go now and look on social media and see who's a potential great journalist.
Yes, for sure.
And commentators.
For
so,
sure.
yes, no, you're absolutely right. So we can record our history in more personal and effective ways, because as we were on the road, and you know what I like about you as well, and it's very important, anytime you see a global disaster or a global headliner going on, Anderson Cooper, Wolf Blitzer, they come from behind the desk. Some of them stay in the studio, some of them go to Ukraine and cover the battle between Russia and Ukraine. And that is what you've been able to do, to know and to sense the time of getting out there during Dorian, because you know that is the headline.
Yeah.
And you have the experience, and you lead the way on the ground.
You know, the story is always, and even with this event, I sit here, but the journalist in me is
I wish I was
dying.
out there.
Because this is where I would love to be.
Right.
You know, but you get to a point in your career where, you know, this is what you are called to do. But these are the life-changing and career-making moments. I could tell you, I remember in 1994 when Michelle Malcolm and I stood on a dock and the Britannia sailed, and I remember that moment and how I felt. And when I saw the Queen emerge from the ship, that was the first time I'd ever seen her. I will never forget that moment. And so every reporter who is out there, whether they're with this station or any other, or whether they're taking photos or writing, or every member of the media who is out today will remember this moment for the rest of their lives. And there is something to be said about that.
Can I share a light moment?
Sure.
When we covered the Queen Elizabeth in 1985, when she came for Shogun, so all of the top journalists there, I was one of them, Yvette Stewart, Kieran Wallace at the time, now Kieran Bristol, we were out there, Ed Bethel listened to me. And there was such this buzz of excitement, palpitations. So much so that when the Queen, when the Queen emerged from the Britannica, one of the reporters, and she was not alone, they naturally genuflect.
They genuflect.
Yeah.
And without being seen.
Yeah, without being
So
it's just the appearance, you know?
Just the appearance.
Yes.
Just to keep people abreast of what's happening, they are moving now from the Garden of Remembrance, moving towards Rawson Square, passing what is known as the library. And you see here the activity to keep the photographers, etc., in line and not to interfere with the movement. You see the Prime Minister, it seems there may be rain based on the umbrellas. So you see the Prime Minister and the Duke, along with Mrs. Davis and the Duchess, moving through. And so the Prime Minister is holding the umbrella for the Prince. However, the Duchess is holding the umbrella for Mrs. Davis as that moves through. They're coming now through Bank Lane, passing the Supreme Court building and some of the old magistrates' courts there in Bank Lane, and making their way to Rawson Square. So I understand now the Prince is holding the umbrella. Okay, so as we're moving through, you see now, and just, you know, for those of you who understand media, you see the movement now that's taking place as you have to get ahead.
The hustle is on.
The hustle. You got to get out of the way ahead and be ready for the next iteration of this. And the rain has come down. I guess they're running out of the rain too. Oh. But the show is going on. They are making their way to the next spot. This visit will not soon be forgotten, if only for the weather. I think they have gone inside this is the Senate building? Oh dear.
Can I see which side?
It is. I think they have gone, inside the Senate building. Maybe a holding area in there. Just to escape the rain for now. All right, so obviously we are going to be delayed a bit once again until this weather passes or until some decision is made. So this is Bank Lane. It appears to be that side door into the Senate building. And that's where they will be held until a determination is made what to do next. We see the Royal Bahamas Police Force Band. They too have come in out of the rain. This is a live shot, so bear with us. We are taking this as it happens. So this is sort of what's happened. This is what Bank Lane looks like at this very moment. So in just a few moments, we are going to, this is another shot now. This is from the RTV camera. And from where I can, from what I can establish from the view, this is under, I think, in front of or near to the old Cabinet building.
Yes.
Yes, this is what used to be the Churchill building. You see the umbrellas? But the crowd is still there, Debbie Bartlett.
Not moving.
They have not moved.
You know what they used to say about Bahamians?
Yeah.
When it rains, we don't come.
We don't come to work?
We don't come to work. Or do we come to church?
Yeah, that's true. I'm partially guilty of that. But yeah, I mean, oh Lord, and I'm just hoping that my crew, this is our cameraman. I think this is Sherrod Campbell.
Yeah, hoping we're able to keep the camera safe.
Yeah, it seems that they are somewhere out of...
They're braving the rain in front of the House of Parliament.
Yep. Again, this is a very famous stop, or sorry, let me rephrase that. This is a very common stop for the royals on their visit. There have been on many occasions, the Queen and other royals have visited this area, whether it be for coming in and out of Parliament, or specific events, but this is an area frequented by the royal family when they are here for visits.
And you know, the history is rich. We know that our parliament is one of the oldest in the Western Hemisphere, established in 1724. And it's amazing, March 4th rather, was the first sitting of Parliament, and we are in the month of March.
Yes.
So, you know, all of this is coming together and revisiting the past as we celebrate today, and I think it's all an indication that we got a great tomorrow.
And there's always context to everything. And I say it every day. You know, in my career, nothing exists in isolation. There's always a connection. There's always a past. There is always a link, and there is always a look to the future. So I think while we have spent a lot of time over these past few hours talking about the past and what it means now, I'm very intrigued by the future. And by that I mean the future as the face of the world family changes, how the world views them, but also what the future of the Bahamas is going to look like at a time when the world has changed so drastically and there's so many unknowns. We're seemingly coming out of COVID, but so much has changed in this world. We're never going to be the same world we were pre-2020, never. And then, so what is our global positioning? We talked about climate change. We are a speck, a dot, with very little carbon footprint, almost non-existent. But yet, we have to be a part of the leadership to bring awareness and change to the situation with our climate, and to begin to reverse some of these effects, because we are one of the most vulnerable, and also on the receiving end of that devastating climate change. We're in the hurricane belt.
The Prime Minister made it very clear in COP26 that if we can outrun the hurricanes, and we have one of the cleanest, if not the cleanest, carbon footprints in the world. So the global community around us have to take action steps to not only talk about what will be done, but what is being done today. And so again, you see the Bahamas taking a leadership role and a voice in the global platform to say that we have something to contribute to what is changing in the world. But while we look to the future for which you are talking about, I also would like to submit that we really consider now that we strengthen our position from a place of observation, and also to a degree of example, having the cleanest carbon footprints, among the cleanest carbon footprints in the world, that we have natural resources in our country. We are considered a region and a country that is the most wealthy in the world. And rather than just looking out to ask somebody to help, and there's also a season, seasons are changing. It's a time and you ask for that, but what do we do to access for the people of our country the vast natural resources that we have in the country, so that we can be more resilient in our efforts to build a stronger, vibrant economy where the people of the Bahamas have more ownership. It strengthens the sovereignty of our country and become a stronger player. I would like to see the Bahamas become one of the G7 countries, or whatever seven you want to call it, based on what we are doing, like the Singapores of the world, or Australia, or Alaska.
I'm disappointed at times when I hear the conversation shifting to, not that it's not a place for it, but I think we are that much far along in our development that we, as you said, need to take ownership and responsibility for our lack of wealth sometimes.
That's it.
Because we have been self-governed and independent long enough for us to have created more opportunities for our people, and stop blaming our colonial masters for what was taken or what was not given or what was robbed or raped. I get it. It has happened. But how long are we going to dwell and blame others for the position that we find ourselves in when we have had now almost 5 decades to change our situation? Why are we not tapping into our natural resources? Why is our educational system at the place that it is? Why are our people not owners of the economy? Are we going to continue to blame our colonial so-called masters 50 years after they would have relinquished all over us? Or are we going to begin now to take real responsibility for ourselves? We self-govern and we sovereign.
In other words, be responsible for daily operations of the country. The natural resources are ours. The ability to empower the qualified rests in our hands. So what we can do, ask for reparations for the 50 years that we didn't get for the hard workers of our country? No. I mean, you have to have a sense of the past, but we need to focus on the future. How are we going to empower the deserving and create a performance-based reward system so that there is no way that at this time, I don't mind if it's a pandemic, at this time, we should not have 51% plus of our people living in poverty. I don't care if it's the Dorian, I don't care if it's the pandemic, because we have enough natural resources, we have enough talent in the country, we have enough people who are still in touch with the past when we community. Money doesn't create money, community does. And what we have done is not kept in touch with our commitment from our foundation of self-governance and helping each other succeed.
Proverbial nail on, head on nail. And I think too, you know, we spend a lot of time as a people looking at our current state and playing the blame game. I jump on this soapbox for a minute. We are very quick to criticize our governments and our politicians, but we have empowered them to have the hold over us that they do. Because the moment the street light out, or you need something for yourself, or you are trying to you run to the politician. And we rely so heavily on politics and the politicians that we are so dependent upon them that we have not been able, as a people, to get past politics. And so every time there is a change in government, there's one group who feels that they are in a time of feast, and another group who feels that they are in a time of famine. And so what happens, from my perspective, is the feast group spend 5 years trying to hold on to that and doing everything that they can to hold on to that, and while the famine group is doing everything that they can to discredit and try and get back into the feast group. And somewhere in the middle of all of this, the people are suffering because we cannot move forward because there is just so much dependency on our political state. So that is where we are.
You know, that is so powerful because as a consequence, what we have developed is an entitlement culture. You owe me. So it has nothing to do with I'm the best for the job. No, I've been campaigning for you for 50 years. Mind you, you didn't upgrade. You're still in on analog. You don't know what digital is.
We had fourth generation digital.
But we want the top position. So we then have, in too many instances, the unqualified in positions that they cannot perform in. They have not prepared themselves for it. I mean, it's a contrast to what we are talking about. We can see, for example, with the royal visit, that we have some of the most skilled people in the world. Of course we do. When we step up, we are the best. We are among the best in the world. When you step up at CNN, you are among the best. You could sit down with Christiane Amanpour. And that's how it's supposed to be. So when Shawnee Miller comes up, everybody knows that, listen, first class has arrived. We are Olympians in so many levels. But we do need to, your point, watch that we don't allow the culture of entitlement versus the culture of earning to dismantle the greatness that we represent.
Debbie Bartlett, I guess you all are wondering what is going on. This discussion has gone so far off, but just so that you are aware, because of the inclement weather, we have been notified that we are in a holding pattern downtown. Nothing is happening, so we're waiting for the rain to clear. Having said that, we've been talking for quite a bit. So what we are going to do I'm going to allow my co-host to stretch, and I need to stretch for a moment as well. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll pick up our coverage, pick up our discussion. Listen, when you got great people in the studio, you can talk all day. And, as it's live TV, by now we should have been off the air. But here we go. We still have a much more to go, so we're going to stay with it for as long as possible. So you are watching live coverage of a rainy royal visit on our TV. Stay with us. We are back right after this.
Welcome to the Cable Bahamas Business Solutions Cybersecurity Tip of the Day for data privacy. Data privacy is an important consumer right in the data-driven world that we live in. Data security and privacy should be woven into the company's culture. Point number 1, document where data exists and who has access to that data. Point number 2, identify data owners to help streamline data access governance, policies, and procedures. Point number 3, monitor how data is moving and being shared in and out of the organization. And the fourth and final point, identify, prioritize, and remediate data risks. Remember, stay safe, stay informed, and stay protected.
Doctors Hospital is proud to announce the launch of our Infusion Center. This center is available for patients in need of IV hydration and nutrition therapy, blood products, long-term antibiotics, and specialized medicines for a spectrum of diseases including rheumatology, dermatology, gastroenterology, and endocrinology. We provide quality, highly specialized care, seamless medication approval through our pharmacy and registration services, a safe and comfortable environment, cost-saving benefits with copay waived on medications for insured LAMP members, payment plans for the uninsured, and immediate access to emergency services. We're located at the Luton Building on Daswell Street. For more information, contact us at 242-302-3323 or email us at infusioncenter@doctorshosp.com.
Avery's has been around from 1992 in an area far away from most things. In 2018, I picked up the mantle. At the answer that I would have taken over, I was connected to Cable Bahamas, and I'm always trying to enhance my Avery's package. And I wanted to expand my customer satisfaction through technology. Everybody comes in and they want to use the Wi-Fi. They want to be able to go live, show off the food and the ambience and the entertainment. So since I've been using the Aero device, my buffering almost went to zero. There's no interruption in that service, which is phenomenal. I would recommend the Aero device to anyone to use it. It works.
They say curiosity killed the cat. Well,
they look pretty alive to us. There are countless curious mysteries waiting to be discovered in the world. No, the universe. Follow your curiosity on RTV with a series of award-winning documentaries from Curiosity Stream, right here on RTV.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bonami.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rajesh Pahawa.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jazreel Thompson,
Infectious diseases physician.
I'm radiologist at Doctors Hospital.
an anesthesiologist here at Doctors Hospital.
And I'm fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
I'm fully vaccinated against COVID.
I'm fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
Are you?
Are you?
Are you?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back on Rawson Square, where you see the Duke and Duchess along with the Prime Minister and Mrs. Davis. You see Mr. Darren Bastian and Arlene Nash Ferguson, some of our cultural icons. They are downtown about to witness a Junkanoo parade, a first for the Duke and Duchess, a first for downtown in 2 years. So the sights and sounds of Junkanoo coming through Rawson Square this afternoon on a rainy Friday afternoon. So in just a few moments, as you see them, they're going to move closer to the street to get an opportunity to see this up close and personal. Again, this is a first for the Royals. They do have the benefit of some Junkanoo experts at their side in the individuals of Darren Bastian and Arlene Nash Ferguson, who are explaining what is happening to them and what they are seeing. Of course, Junkanoo being the foremost expression of culture in the Bahamas. This particular activity has been absent from Bay Street and absent from the Bahamian people throughout this entire pandemic ordeal. And so this is a good opportunity for us to not only showcase our culture, but also to signal the return of some things Bahamian. So we see a Junkanoo group now coming through Bay Street, representing for us some of the best we have in Bahamian culture. And the one thing that really makes us so uniquely Bahamian, the only place in the world that you can see this, the only place in the world you can hear this music, the only place in the world that you can see costumes like this and experience this. And this is downtown Nassau. Of course, this is the heartbeat of Junkanoo. This is where it happens year after year. And so here is now an opportunity for us to showcase to the Royals who we are and what we do in this cultural expression. And we see here now, this is Rawson Square, the heart of Junkanoo. We have just witnessed the Duke and Duchess experiencing their first Junkanoo parade. You know, Debbie, we spoke at one point about what these images are going to mean to the world, what message we are going to send with the images that are emerging from this trip. The next king of the future king of England, enjoying Junkanoo in downtown Nassau.
You know, it's really interesting about destiny. And sometimes we do things as a cultural expression without really giving full consideration, and maybe they have, because we commended the people who organized, who absolutely gave thought. But you know, the history of Junkanoo really started up in Fox Hill with that celebration for freedom.
Emancipation.
Emancipation. And so as we look at our culture, as we end this part, this almost first and last leg of the visit here, that we are talking about a celebration of our culture that speaks to the call of freedom. And that journey must continue now, because there's one thing for political emancipation. We achieved that. And as we approach our 50th year, we should be looking at economic emancipation. But what I like about the royals, if a Commonwealth country decides to leave the Commonwealth, they don't make a big deal of it.
No resistance.
There is no resistance. And I believe that we have come to this point, just as we saw the Prime Minister flanked by the cultural icons of Bastian and Arlene Nash, and the wife of the Prime Minister, white and black, male and female, celebrating what comes from our belly, speaking to the power of community. And when you have community, there's unity. There are things that we have to focus on that will bring us together. And they are on to the next and final leg for, no, you got something else tonight. But you know what it does? These are the things, the regatta, that brings us together as a people.
Most definitely. Debbie Bartlett, you could not have ended on a better note. While the royals continue on, we are at the end of our broadcast journey. Of course, we'll have highlights of all of this on our news tonight at 7:30, and of course, highlights on the Our News Bahamas Facebook page, where you can catch all of the moments today and continuing throughout the day. Our team is all fanned out. I'm having to go to the Governor General's reception tonight. Nobody else wanted to put on a black tie, so I had to go tonight.
Well, the black tie suits you, darling.
Yeah, well, whatever. So, Debbie Bartlett, I have to say this has been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience. We've had a great conversation. We've talked some history. We have brought, I think, relevance to now, and we have hopefully foreshadowed the future. And so I thank you for coming on. I thank you for reminding people that there are still great broadcasters out there who can do this. There's no other person I would have wanted to do this with me today. So thank you so very much. You still look great.
I'm
You're
humbled.
still teaching.
I'm grateful.
You're still teaching us with your words. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. I love you. Thank you so much.
Now
I'm humbled.
I have a friend who would not rest if I did not ask you to remind people of your famous line. You know, she had that show Reaction. Debbie taught us a very famous line. I can't let you go without reminding us what that famous line was from Reaction.
For every cause, there's an effect. For every action, a reaction. Remember that? Listen, remember, you're born to be great. We are some of the greatest people in the world.
Thank you so very much. I got friends for life now. You can thank me forever for that. Debbie, continue to do well. You look great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Love you.
That's going to do it for our live coverage of the royal visit. Continue to watch Our News and Our News online on the Our News Bahamas Facebook page for more on the royal visit. We want to say a special thanks to our guest, Debbie Bartlett, who so graciously spent this time with us today. Thank you so very much. And on behalf of the entire team, thank you for staying with us. I'm Jerome Sawyer. My producer says I should say cheerio.